Yeah. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Make sure we wired for sound for when we do play that joint. Because it's a lot going on right now for our country. Um a lot of people may not know or may know, but we about a little over an hour ago, the United States had bombed a couple of areas in the Middle East. So now the president is going to address the nation. Speed this up. It ain't live no more.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight Not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So as y'all see, this is something that is pretty fresh, pretty new. I got the message from a text. I got a text message from some of my peoples. A lot of y'all know that's returning. That I'm in the military. Been in the military for 22 years and counting. So I would just give a point of view from the inside out. You know, like I'm not surprised of this. To be honest, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I'm more shocked at some of the stuff because like the timing that it happened, but I'm not surprised at all. Like I could have seen this coming a mile away, and a lot of y'all could have seen it coming a mile away too if you pay attention to the trees, to the tea trees, as the old folks said. But one of my guys, he got on and he was like, "Yo, you need to go live and give a perspective. You know, certain shit I can't even really talk about it." So you know, due to operational commitment and stuff, I can't say nothing. But like we there are Israel's our allies, and we know Iran been playing chicken with us for years at this point. That's all we heard for the last 20, 30 years about Iran and their nuclear program that they've been we always 1 minute we saying hey do this, 1 minute we saying that, we get a ceasefire. Iran always been playing a lot of stuff. They've been harboring our enemies. They've been doing a lot of things over the years to like um poke at us. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised at all that president said that he was gonna take 2 weeks to think about if he was gonna attack and when he was gonna attack. And he took 2 days. So I mean, 2 days and 2 weeks within 2 weeks is the same thing. So he just was he was a lot quicker at bat than what many thought he would have been. And I personally, when you look at it, I think he did the right thing as far as he didn't waste time. He didn't drag it out. He got to the point of handling his business for the country when he had to handle it, because some things you can't be indecisive on. You got to go out and do it and make it your business to do it, because you got millions of lives at stake, and this one move can affect us for decades. You know, so I'm gonna pull up the report on the actual bombing in the facilities that was bombed. You know, let's see, because trending. I'm pretty sure that's just trending right now. Oh, why not? Or not. Let's go to news. Top story. So 3 days ago, we called for them to surrender, and they ain't want to surrender. So I went the shit from an hour ago. Let's get into it.
Here's how I accessed $30,000 from my home to pay off debt without refinancing or new monthly payments. Like many homeowners, I had high interest credit card debt and other expenses adding up. But with rates so high, refinancing wasn't an option, and I didn't want another loan.
We know as of this evening that the top leadership in Congress hasn't fully been briefed, or at least the Democrats who are in that so-called Gang of Eight, those who lead the parties in both houses and then also have oversight of the intelligence committees. The Republicans have told CBS that they have been briefed. The Democrats have not. That further, of course, will raise questions about any kind of politics here on such a significant issue of national security. This tonight, no doubt, has been the most significant national security and foreign policy decision the President of the United States has made in this second Trump term. We'll be tracking all of what comes next very closely, and we'll be bringing it to you here on CBS. Our coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news on this CBS station, and of course, first thing tomorrow on CBS Sunday Morning, and with me on Face the Nation. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Margaret Brennan in Washington.
Hey, what are China and what are China and Russia going to say about this?
That's
What
a good
are
point.
China and Russia going to say about this? We haven't heard from China or Russia.
That's a good point.
CNN is reporting, as Faytux News said, a source familiar with the matter says future Israeli military action.
This is Google Pixel 9a with Gemini. It's free at Verizon, with plans starting at $30 a line. And this is Nicole.
I ain't giving them no they got commercials and stuff, so let's get out of here. You see, a lot of people don't know that it was a back and forth. It wasn't just Israel attacking them, but we've been going back and forth with Iran. He said 2015. We've been going back and forth with Iran since we've been in conflict in the Middle East. So we've been going back and forth. Ooh, this bear got me burping. We've been going back and forth with Iran since probably the mid 80s. When and you got to think right now, the three-headed monster was Iran, Russia, and China. Russia is getting their ass handed to them by Ukraine. Not saying that, they're losing, but they taking significant hits by Ukraine, you know? And then um this this is a big deal that Iran, them nuclear plants was hit. That right there, who might not agree with everything that Trump did, but that right there saved a lot of American lives possible, because now you can talk peace when you realize you're the one at the table with all the cards, Because right now, if they're trying to get into being a superpower, you know, so that way, in order to be a superpower, they gotta have the biggest guns, the biggest weapons. But if America, we got the biggest guns, we could talk peace, because nobody wants to destroy the world. Nobody wants that. People want us to be able to work together, to be able to live and coincide, Like even that TikTok ban, it was more than what I thought it was about, man. That was our adversaries gathering information on American citizens and American way of life. But let's hear him out. I mean, that makes sense that one bomb wouldn't be able to do it. But what it would do too is you'll be burying whatever is hitting it. A burying is gonna bury them, and whoever's in there, they're gonna bury them alive, and then they'll suffocate because they're eventually gonna run out of air. So it's It's a hell of a way to go. You'll probably want to die if you're going to get hit by a bomb off of the first impact. You ain't going to want to go off of smothering to death and dying from suffocation and running out of air. Mm. He made up his mind. He jumped into the fight. He hopefully it was the right decision. That's like military 101. They ain't gonna tell the news what we really got going on. Like the intelligent community ain't gonna sit there and have conversations with the news and shit. If not, that's treason. Oh shit.
Context to sow division with Trump and insist she and the president are on the same page.
I didn't even know the sound wasn't
I'm joined
on,
now
man.
by
I
Jim
just
Walsh,
got the
an
text.
international security analyst. Jim, great to see you. So we've heard.
Good to see you.
Wonderful. So we've heard, both Israeli and U.S. representatives say Iran is weeks away or maybe even days away or now even maybe months away from building a nuclear warhead. What do you believe?
Well, I think it hasn't changed. Back in, I think it was 2007, the U.S. intelligence community assessed back then that Iran had the technical capability to build a nuclear weapon. What was lacking was the political decision, the decision by the supreme leader to say, yeah, we're going to cross that threshold, build the bomb, and become a nuclear weapon state. But they've had the capability for over 15 years. And that's an assessment not only by every
sound check on Rumble. If y'all can hear something, let me know. I just got a text message that y'all can only hear me talking. Y'all not hearing them talk. So give me a sound check to let me know if you can hear the broadcasters talking.
Director of National Intelligence for every president, Republican and Democratic, since then. It's also true of the other big government's intel agencies. The Europeans and others all have made the same assessment. And of course, we until the Iran agreement broke down, we had a lot of inspectors on the ground to see what was going on. So they have the capability.
Rumble that y'all come back up.
Tens of thousands of centrifuges. They have thousands of kilograms of nuclear material of various enrichment levels. It's a big, mature program. And yes, you can bomb things, but they're going to be able to reconstitute. They'll be able. You can't bomb the knowledge out of their heads. You can't bomb away the experience. So they have the capability, and I think everyone who studies this seriously agrees with that.
So you are stressing they have the capability, but has there been the execution of putting all these components together of a readiness of having a nuclear warhead? Because wouldn't that be the premise of such a bombing or a military?
See, they thinking on the small times, and let me tell y'all the thought and opinions of this is only my thought opinions, but it ain't just them being able to make the bombs. We gotta realize if they can create the bombs, what countries they will sell those bombs to. Because right there, they'll be able to distribute those bombs to our enemies, So that's another thing you gotta think about is the risk in that and letting them be operational over there while they're minding it in. Because if they can distribute that to to the people that we got problems with, i.e. Afghanistan is right there on their border, Russia, China, that's the main thing to be worried about, is who they could get it to. Look how small Iran is. We can get rid of Iran with one battle group, be able to take out Iran. But that's what we got to look into to make sure that they're not able to weaponize other countries and other adversaries. So it's more than what believed to the naked eye as far as that go. It ain't just them. We not worrying about them per se being the only ones to attack us. We want to make sure they don't arm up our enemies either. From the Crip, hi, what's up? How you doing? Shout out to everybody. If you new here, this is Uncle Mo from Uncle Mo TV. I'm just giving my point of view on the situation. This is actually affects me directly due to my occupation. So I'm just giving my point of view on this.
Action?
Exactly. That's exactly right, Frederica. And to answer your question directly, no, that's what Gabbard was saying when she was put in that awkward position. They have not made the decision. They did not make a decision. Nothing has changed in the threat environment last week, last month, last year, the year before. What changed was an Israeli calculation that this was an opportunity to go in and attack their nuclear facilities, that the political environment provided an opportunity, that Iran was on its heels with Hezbollah, Syria, and its allies having taken losses, and they were going to grab this opportunity while they had one. It was not about Iran has made some decision, is threatening to go nuclear, so we're forced to act. They weren't forced to act. This was an attack of choice, not of necessity.
So, just to be clear, am I hearing you?
All right, just to be clear, how the hell do he know? You know what I mean? Let me excuse my French. How the fuck do he know what the hell they was thinking of, and what's their plans, and how he know if it's out of necessity or not? Like, they coming to talk to him about, hey, right now, blah 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 is going on, and what do you think? And I think even if that's the case, what he was saying, then it is out of necessity to attack while you have the opportunity. Because they would do it to us if they seen we was vulnerable. So I don't know how the hell this motherfucker think that he the expert on the matter and that he knows what the fuck he's talking about. Because right now it sounds like he's just talking out his motherfucking ass.
Saying that taking action right
Hit the
now
like
against
button.
Fordo, that Fordo location in Iran, about 2 hours outside of Tehran. It's believed to be about 295 feet below ground. Taking action on that right now, within the next few days or even within the next 2 weeks, would be premature.
Well, at this point, here's what I would say. If your goal is to prevent Iran from attaining a nuclear weapons capability, you're too late. That horse left the barn 15 years ago. So yes, you can destroy Fordo, but then they're going to, I'm sure they have centrifuge parts buried places, and they have some centrifuges elsewhere, and they'll have nuclear material. And, it'll take them 5 years. It'll take them whatever it is. But you cannot bomb the knowledge or experience out of their heads. They've done this for a long time. If they put...
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can take off their fucking head. Come on now. You see, they done hit some of their top military commanders over the last few days. So don't say you can't take the knowledge off. You can cut the head off the chicken and watch it run wild until it collapses. So that's a forced narrative right there. Because make no mistake, this can be a declaration of war. Will it be? The jury's still out on that. But he's talking crazy. He act like he don't know how the world is going. Barney Boyle, you could get the fuck out of here. It ain't no reason for you to be here. You can get the fuck off my screen. You could go on to the next one. You don't like what the fuck you hear? Peace, bitch.
Put their mind to it, they can rebuild it. And if they rebuild it, they're going to be ticked and more inclined to want to cross that line. So
you said they just not some pitiful little country that Israel can kick around. So I hold on. Let's make something clear, right? I'm not a warfare streamer, but am I against war? No, not at all. I serve my country's Navy combat team. Yep. So I'm always going to want to be on the side that's going to win. Like that's my goal. That's the goal that I was taught, to win in combat. You know what I mean? And if you are an American with your little Pokemon ball, right? You got the game twisted and fucked up to think that it's okay to be on the losing end. You heard? You got the game seriously fucked up. And it's people like me that give you the right to be up here to have this freedom of speech, you know? While you sit in your mother basement talking shit, typing on the keyboard.
there's no magical military solution to the problem of Iran's nuclear capability. It's only one that can be managed through agreement and negotiation, something we had in place and that was working back in 2015 that we don't have now. We need to be able to get back to that because there is no military solution to this problem. Iran knows how to build a bomb. If North Korea can build it, then a country like Iran, more sophisticated, 90 million people, bigger economy, they'll be able to do it if they want to.
So the Trump administration, keeps talking about, something that they are entertaining, possibly averting any kind of bombing or consideration.
They talking some old shit. Now that we got more people, let's
deal. So how would any deal differ from the Iran nuclear deal that you just referenced?
We've been doing deals with these fools
that the U.S. and 5 other
years.
countries helped shape during the Obama administration in 2015. Trump dismantled it in 2018. How would a today deal be different?
Well, I mean, some certain principles.
Let's get a different point of view because, we getting the liberal point of view. Let's see what they talking on the other side. Let's see Al-Jahar, what they saying, if they talking.
All right, bringing you some breaking news now. We're just seeing U.S. President Donald Trump post on his Truth Social account that the U.S. has attacked 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Trump has said that they have joined the Israeli air campaign, and now we wait to hear more from Tehran and the Iranian government. All planes are now outside of Iran.
I'm gonna let this play out. Then I'm gonna Bernie Boyle. I'm gonna get at you as soon as I let this play out, because I ain't gonna turn this into a back and forth with me and you while we got other viewers on here. But I'm gonna holler at you as soon as I let this play out.
On airspace, I'm reading now from the Truth Social post, which states, if we can just bring it up now. So here's what the U.S. president has said. In the last few minutes, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on his social media account saying, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Let's go ahead and bring in Heidi Jo Castro, who's live for us out of Washington, D.C. Heidi, so the news emerging now from the U.S. president is that the U.S. has entered this conflict and has dropped bombs in Iran on 3 nuclear sites. What more do we know?
This game, you're not ready for. Absolutely. This news breaking on Donald Trump's Truth Social website as you were just reading it, and there's little more that we know because this is him announcing it essentially to the world that the United States has officially joined this new dangerous phase of this war. It's notable that Trump just a few days ago had given a time window of, he said, 2 weeks for Iran to come back to the negotiating table for a diplomatic solution. Well, obviously, only a few days have passed. Yesterday, he kind of foreshadowed this by saying it would be a maximum period of 2 weeks before he could issue a strike on Iran. And then today, we saw that scrambling of U.S. military assets, which people were quick to point out did not mean that this would be an immediate issuing of the strike, but rather it could have just been moving assets into place. But now, apparently, we are seeing quite to everyone's surprise, frankly, that Trump has indeed, he says, issued this strike. He says, again, that it was successful. He said that U.S. warplanes targeted at least 3 nuclear sites in Iran and that they have already left the Iranian airspace. He called it a quote, very successful attack on Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, and that now these planes are safely on their way home. Now, the final part of his post saying, now is the time for peace. Certainly, that has yet to be proven to be true. Everything depends now on how Iran will respond. And there have been many people concerned that such an action as has just been taken by the U.S. military would do the very opposite. And rather than ushering peace, as Trump proclaims, that this may draw the U.S., and it already has, further into this war. What will the next step be? Will there be further escalation? Could there be still room for negotiation? Some experts say there might be, that Tehran might come to the table after all, even after all this. But this is a stark moment of uncertainty for the world, as we have just learned that the U.S. has now bombed directly Iran.
Yeah, Heidi, as you mentioned, it's going to be very interesting to see if there is any potential room for negotiation going forward here. As you mentioned, President Trump said now is the time for peace in that post. Are there any indications that members of the Trump administration at this point would like to try to actually continue a dialogue with Iranian counterparts?
Well, Trump has all the time said he does want to do that. Even now announcing that he has bombed Iran's nuclear sites, he still says that he wants peace. He's really trying to have both sides of it, to have his cake and eat it too, as they would say. Really, this is what the MAGA party is reflective of, in that there has been division, that there are many in the United States who want Trump to be an isolationist, to put America first, to have not taken this step of a direct military strike on Iran, which now he has taken. And he himself has proclaimed himself to be the peacemaking president now, contrary to the evidence otherwise. But certainly, he still wants to sign his name to a new nuclear deal with Iran, and he still has this hopefulness that there will be peace in the near future, and it remains to be seen whether that is wishful thinking.
All right, that's Heidi Jo Castro joining us live out of Washington with all the latest. Joining us here now in the studio is our correspondent, Dorsa Jabari. So, Dorsa, we've been waiting and wondering, and now we have the answer. Donald Trump saying that the U.S. has bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Are we hearing anything yet out of the Iranians?
No, we haven't had any official confirmation or reaction from Iranian officials. But what we do know is that Iran's position has been very clear. If the United States takes part in this military campaign inside Iran alongside Israel, the Iranians will consider U.S. targets in the region legitimate to attack. That means there's about 19 U.S. bases in the Middle East that are home to about 40,000 U.S. troops. The Iranians have said that these troops will not be safe and that they will be targeted in a direct response if the United States carries out what we have just heard U.S. President Donald Trump say they have done. Now, I want to point out that these 3 locations are significant in Iran's nuclear program. The facilities at Fordo and Natanz. These are the only two nuclear facilities that Iran has been enriching uranium at 60% levels. And also in Esfahan is where Iran, it's a facility that Iran uses to convert uranium, basically. And there's also apparently where, according to an IAEA report in 2022, 90% of Iran's high enriched uranium is stored at this facility in Esfahan. So these are critical sites within the broader picture of Iran's nuclear program. There are 6 nuclear facilities in Iran, and the 3 the United States has targeted are a critical part of the whole program.
And Dorsa,
so y'all
if
can know,
the U.S. president were to now try to leverage this action and say,
all right, so Bernie, you said enough of that. Let's hear it. So let me hear you. First off, you said that Iran ain't been conquered since Alexander the Great. It's a countries where emperors grow to die. What emperor went there to die? In Afghanistan, Afghanistan used to work for us. So please stop it. Stop all the cap, bro. Stop all the cap. I wouldn't put this hat on just for you, Bernie. Just for you. All right, Bernie, whatever the hell your name is. No disrespect, because I respect you tuned in, you know. But he made the right decision that if obviously he got information that none of us is privy to, that they wasn't going to change their mind, that they was going to stay. Oh, I'm a little too close to that mic. That they was going to stay on their stance of not negotiating. And as far as she said about he want peace at the end, I mean, in order to have peace, you got to have war at time, or at least the threat of war. You know what I mean? That's like having, you can look this up in America. Most states that have open carry laws or concealed carry laws that's more for the citizens, the crime rate is lower because citizens can come to action. It's more than just us worrying about them delivering bombs. They can arm our adversaries, bro. Like, if you really feel that way about America, leave.
We entered this conflict, but we are done with this conflict. We do want to try to go back to the negotiating table. You said a moment ago that the Iranians have been very clear that they are not going to be talking to the U.S. going forward, and that they had made very clear what they were going to do if the U.S. had entered this conflict. Is there any scenario that you can foresee that could potentially exist in which the Iranians could go back to the table with the U.S.?
It would be very difficult to see that at the moment, Mohammed, unless the regional states in the Middle East get directly involved and try to convince Iran that it would be in their best interest not to respond or retaliate. But the rhetoric coming out of Tehran, and given everything that has happened since June 13th, with countless assassinations and targeting of high-ranking Iranian officials.
Your ancestors founded this country? What, your ancestors are Native Americans? That's what you're telling me? You're a Native American? That's what you're telling me? That's your best reply? Because I really don't believe you. I mean, you could be.
Inside Iran by Israel. And at least 9 nuclear scientists have been killed by Israel. It's going to be very difficult for Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who is the commander-in-chief in the country, to let this basically pass without a direct response.
All right, that's Dorsa Jabari live for us here on set with all the latest out of Iran. We'll be coming back to you for more in the coming minutes and hours. Thank you, Dorsa. Let's talk now to our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett, who's on the phone with us from Washington, D.C. Kimberly, any more details emerging at this stage from the White House as to the confirmation from Donald Trump that the U.S. has bombed 3 sites in Iran?
What we know is that, in fact, the U.S. president, when he returned to Washington, this was something that was imminent. My sources that I've been talking to said that they knew once those B-52 aircraft were in the air that this was the plan being carried out, and it was just a matter of time. what we know is that the plan had been not only to go after Fordo, which we know is the deep base that is buried underneath the Israelis were not able to get at without U.S. help, because what is required is those so-called 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs. And as a result, what we know is once those B-52s were in the air, those are the aircraft that carry those bombs. And it became imminently clear to those that were briefed on the plan that the plan was in place. And it was something, I'm told from my source, that was expected in the next 48 hours. And so this is now, in fact, coming a little bit even earlier than some of them had expected. Now, what we know is that there are actually 3 nuclear sites that have been struck. I'm still trying to narrow down which ones they are in particular, and you guys may have that information. But again, as those B-52 bombers were, or B-2 bombers rather, were in the air, we knew they weren't going to stop, according to my source. So what we're now understanding is that, this is something that Donald Trump just a couple of days ago gave the world the indication that there was going to be room for negotiation. He said that he would make a decision within 2 weeks. Having said that, what we also know is that he had signed off on the plan to attack. He just hadn't given the go-ahead for it to be executed. And so the plans were in place, and they were ready to be executed, and it was just a matter of Donald Trump making the decision. And he said very clearly, nobody knows except me when I'm going to make that decision. He said that a couple of days ago. And now, of course, we see that he has made the decision. But up until the planes were in the air, many people realized that even with planes in the air, this could still be more positioning of assets, which we've seen the United States doing in recent days. We've seen them positioning not only fighter aircraft, but also the warships. And we have also known that Donald Trump likes to push things to the very edge in order to get people to the negotiating table. But what seemed to be the thing that turned Donald Trump around, according to the folks that I've been talking to, is what happened in Geneva on Friday. The fact that there was no breakthrough after the U.S. president had said, I want unconditional surrender. I need you to take this. We warned you. You had 60 days. On the 61st day, Israel went ahead and bombed. And after 6 days of bombing, you go to Geneva, you meet with top European officials, and there's no breakthrough. He was exasperated, and his time for Iran was up. And that is why we are told he made the decision. He had warned them, and they did not listen. And now he means business. The U.S. Press Secretary, Caroline Leavitt, saying that the president's first path will always be peace, but he is not afraid to use force. And he has just shown that.
Kimberly, the sites in question in Iran that were struck, according to the U.S. president.
So who is all these imaginary domestic threats that we have right here in the States that you're talking about? Like, please tell me, since you know so much. And it's crazy because I bet you, like, you didn't answer the question if you Native American, because you talk about your ancestors. What did you say? Your ancestors did what for this country? Y'all founded this country? Who the hell is your ancestors found a country that people, like what, you found a country that people was already living here on? Make that make sense, bro. That's like somebody walking in my house right now and then talking about they discovered my house after I done had it built, moved my furniture in, and my family running around. Like, make it make sense. It's all of y'all tough guys that talk all of this stuff about the country while y'all reaping the fruits of the benefits of the people that make the sacrifice for this country. Like, y'all don't do nothing but get on here and be some keyboard warriors, bro. Don't even know how things work around y'all. You talking a good one, man. If you some fucking Iran sympathizer, go there, bro. Go there. Your fucking ancestors ain't found shit. They ain't built shit. So you could cut it out, man.
Are Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Let me ask you, are there any indications from the U.S. government at this stage or from Donald Trump as to whether this is considered to be over, or is this just the beginning salvo when it comes to potentially more attacks from the U.S. on Iran?
I can tell you what the president has been briefed on, according to his national security team, is that he asked a series of questions before he assembled his team at the White House a few hours ago. He has been, for the last few days, convening his national security team in the Situation Room. And what he was asking, according to my sources, is he wanted to know if it was possible to strike these facilities, to eradicate the program, the nuclear program, and not draw the United States forces into a broader conflict. Now, you can argue that there are different thinking on this. Some people say this is going to draw the U.S. into a broader conflict. But what he was advised is that this could be an effective single strike type operation, that this would allow for the dismantling of the program and would still not allow for any escalation. And so that is the guidance that the U.S. president is acting on. So based on that guidance, we could assume this is a one-off, but it all depends on how the allies of Iran will react. We know that they have strong alliances with China, with Russia, and we also know that there was a careful warning that was given to the United States in advance of these strikes, and that was, if you assist Israel, there will be a price to pay.
They was talking shit, called they bluff, they fuck with all of our enemies, so they fucked around and found out. And Mr. You already answered this, Reed. You ain't Native American, so your fucking family ain't found nothing. You can cut it out. You can stop it. Like I said, you some type of sympathizer. To each his own, man. That's the beautiful nuance of this country, that you have the freedom of speech. You got the freedom to feel how you want to feel. If you was living in some of these other countries, you would not be able to feel that way. You would not be able to speak it publicly. You can feel however you want to feel. You would not be able to speak it publicly. You know, if you was in some countries like North Korea, you wouldn't even be able to see what's going on TV or anything that spoke against the government, because they would literally be controlling all devices and they control the internet over there. So a lot of y'all, like I said, y'all don't even get to breathe free air without the sacrifices of the military. You know, and I'm not a huge supporter of certain aspects, but I mean, I'm American, so I support America.
So Donald Trump has been advised that as commander-in-chief, this will not lead to escalation. That is the guidance he's acted on. But he knows there is a chance that there could be an escalation as a result of his actions.
All right, that's Al Jazeera's White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett. Thanks so much for all those details, Kimberly.
If you think that a government as elaborate as the United States is sitting here and the news is going to know what they're thinking about and able to put out there, you crazier than hell. You crazier than a rabbit monkey.
I want to put the statement by President Trump up on the screen. He says in a Truth Social post, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes..."
Believe me, before this statement was out, this thing probably happened about 10 hours ago. Y'all just now hearing about it.
Are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There's not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I'm here with
He right, now is the time for peace, but you cannot have peace without war, bro. You cannot have peace without war. And Mr. All these, like, I'm gonna read y'all his comment if y'all didn't see his comment. He said, we got like, I'm going to leave certain parts out, certain disrespectful language he put in there. I ain't going to blame my channel for his disrespect that he's saying. He said, we got hundreds of different domestic threats. who are bigger deal than Iran. What domestic threat do we have that's bigger than an adversary country? Please explain that, bro. Like, please explain that, man. You gonna be one of them people that make me get a call in line so that y'all can call in and say your hypocrisy online so we all can hear it, you know? Because I really want to know what's that. And then he said, that's a bigger deal than Iran. Domestic terrorism. That's a bigger deal than Iran. What domestic terrorist is enriching uranium to build nuclear weapons? What domestic terrorist is doing that? But okay. And then he said, all the wannabe tough guys in the military won't do shit about it. Are you even qualified to be in the military? Really? You know what I mean? Are you even qualified? Are you even in shape? Could you even I will admit the Navy is one of the fattest services out there, but are you even could you even do a PRT at this point? You know what I mean? Like, and what you mean wanna be tough guys? Like, we have no choice but to fight the fight, bro. We have no choice but to fight the fight. And I'm proud to say that I served my country and I'm serving my country. But like, we want to be tough guys because we're in the military. Okay. Remember, when you say that shit, we the ones supporting and defending the right for you to talk crazy on here, Mr. Boyle. But let's get back to business.
And Jeremy Diamond in Tel Aviv. Obviously, Jeremy, this is something that we have been waiting for and watching for. We got the word earlier today that B-2s were in the air. There has been some reporting they're heading toward Guam. We don't know exactly what aircraft were used in this. They set a full payload of bombs, which there had been a lot of discussion about how many of these bunker buster bombs would be required to really damage Fordo facility. Unclear if just one would be enough. He says bombs. It sounds like there were multiple strikes.
Yeah, and you know, even as he is talking about multiple nuclear sites in Iran, the one to key in on is the Fordo facility, because we know that that is the facility that is buried deep beneath a mountain in Iran that would require those B-2 bombers and would require those 30,000 pound bombs to be dropped over.
We talk about the fat people in the Navy, they getting offended. Why not? Why I can't talk about the fat people in the Navy? You know what I mean? Can I talk about the fat ass chiefs in the Navy? Can we talk about that? I mean, there's fat officers, but I ain't see as many fat officers as I see chiefs. You know, it's a lot of fat ass chiefs in the Navy. I seen them. I'm starting to see them across every branch, though. I ain't see no fat Marines. The Marines are built a little different. I give them that. They built pretty different. Don't they? I done seen Marines party all night, get up in the morning, and can run 7 miles and do pull-ups and all that shit. Trump 2028, you smoking that crack, American Nightmare. You on some hardcore drugs. He can't be the president at all. You know that, right? He cannot serve another term. You seen a fat Marine before, Rubik's Crew? I never seen a fat Marine. I did see somebody fat in the Army, but I never seen a fat Marine before. We haven't won. Rubik's Cube, do you hear this fool? He said that we haven't won a war in a century. A century. Okay, jackass. When was World War II? Let's see if you could do simple math, because it wasn't 100 years ago, World War II. World War II wasn't 100 years ago. Iraq, Afghanistan, all that shit is completely fucking they're near this dismantled, bro. I've been there. I ain't never see a fat Marine, not even in the reserves. Bro, I work with some Marines. They work out a lot more than we do. I'll tell you that. And that's all counted on they advancement and stuff. They get points for all that shit. I can't say I never went somewhere that is majority Navy and it wasn't some fat ass motherfuckers except for A school or something. What war Man, this dude is smoke. Like, Bernie, right now, I'm convinced you just a troll, bro. You just a troll, man. We lost. It's only one conflict that we might have lost in the last century or the history of America, and that's probably the Vietnam War, because they still failed to communism. And how we lost the World War II when we literally occupy Japan right now, my guy. We're really occupying Japan right now, my guy. We are occupying Germany right now. How many German bases is over here in America? I'll wait. How many Japanese military bases are over here in America? I'll wait. So how we lost, but we are occupying their territories. See, boy, y'all gotta, like, I don't know, man. Maybe they stop teaching civics or something in school or something, because y'all ain't making no doggone sense that we lost. This fool said that we lost every single war since, dang, I'm about to switch so y'all can see the daggone, if y'all not reading the chat, because y'all can see the chat on the screen, because, boy, this dude is talking crazy, especially those over on, Rumble. I know y'all can't see the YouTube chat, but this dude said we lost every single war. And so which war did we win? Let me hear that one, because you saying we ain't win a war since what's good? Hello from Belgium. I know it's army. It's an army base in Belgium, and it's a what you call it? Air Force, NATO. It don't matter. I mean, it does matter, but you that like how many Japanese died? How many Germans died? How many Nazis died? Like tell me. The victor's right, like they said. The hunter's always right till the lion learns how to write, bro. The victors write history. Rewrite history. We're the greatest, bro. Like y'all are crazy. Like, I ain't saying y'all, there's only one fool in here talking crazy in here with the ridiculousness. You know what I mean? You letting the world see that you just talking to be talking, boy. Which is cool. I'm gonna switch screen scene so that everybody can see your shit. I just gotta set that other one up real fast. That's not the point. The point is, you know how many Jews died in World War II, but don't know how many Americans died. Americans ain't take a L, my man. And do we really know how many died, or we know what they're telling us? You know, I know we ain't take. We took a large hit at Pearl Harbor. We did that. We did take a large hit at Pearl Harbor. We took a large hit, but we came back fighting. What happened? We dropped the atomic bombs on them, and what? Now they over there speaking English. Peggy, why do you want peace? Drop in the chat. Why do you want peace? My boy Rubis kills somebody who proudly served his country, active and still serving his country, letting you know the numbers. Let me see. Window capture. Boom, bam, boom, bam. Off your life. Boom, bam, from your life. OBO. I'm up here singing. I don't even know why that song popped in my head. But okay. Let me see something. I'm telling you. Yeah, we if who, let me see what he say. This guy's a fool. I could respect a fool. This guy is a fool. I could respect a fool if he wasn't so condescending. Can't even read the word. Listen, bro. You tuned into my shit and you've been on here for a little minute now. I'm a fool. I bet you somebody fat, sloppy, sleeping in your mother basement, and you just come on here and you feel empowered to talk. You know what I mean? Just to talk. You only talking because God gave you a mouth, you know? Well, he gave you fingers to type, you know? But at the end of the day, how are you trying to educate me? You did not show. I asked you questions. All you said is, my family found this country. Oh, that was your big comeback. My family found this country. I'm fat, out of shape, or skinny and bony. I just feel that I'm entitled. I never fought for nothing in my life but my lunch money. I never fought for nothing in my life but my lunch money, you know, and you know, now Uncle Mo is bullying me. Well, not bullying me, but he making me feel stupid on his channel that I tuned into to talk crazy about America, but I live in America and don't want to leave America because my so-called family that's not Native American found America. Like, you sound stupid. You sound stupid, bro. They keep it a buck. You just free entertainment right now. Like, I'm bored, but you're making it entertaining that people could come on here and hear me marking what I think you sound like. Yeah, man, I don't even sound like a real name. Yo, he has a Pokemon ball, and he's probably 45 years old. He has a Pokemon ball as his accountant. Much love. You in the Marines, I'm in the Navy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? US Navy. You know what I mean? But boy, you bro, I bet you some fat sloppy. Like, you has a Pokemon ball. That says it all right there, bro. And like I said, I've been in the Navy almost 22 years, man. 16 years Air Force active duty. That's what's up. I'm telling you though, Marines is the only me. I can't speak for everybody. Me is the only branch I ain't see somebody fat as fucking. The Navy, I think, is the fattest though, bro. Like, I done seen some of the fattest E7s and above. I remember, no lie, true story time with Uncle Mo, bro. I used to be a command fitness leader when I was on the ship, right? And it's me and Rubik's Cube, right? We got to do weigh-ins, right? So it's a dude that's a nuke, right? So now we trying to like weigh him in. You know, you get the tape, right? When they over a certain amount of weight, you got to tape their waist, tape their neck, and shit for the circumference. This dude sucking in for dear life. He's like, sucking his belly in for dear life, right? And then I'm fucking, I go to put the tape around him. I had to get the other guy to hold the tape, right? My boy Rubik's Cube. I had to get him to hold the tape. We could walk it around this fat fuck. And then he broke my tape measure. I think that was the biggest waist that I seen. He had to be like I think a 48 or in between a 48 and a 50. And that was with him sucking in his gut, bro. He was like, just think, bro. Like, even right now, I'm standing up, you know. Oh, you can't see. Like, it ain't. I'm a 36. My pants is a 36. You know. You know what I mean? Boy, you know what that is? That's a Louis Vuitton belt, boy. I know you don't know nothing about that and shit with your Pokemon shit, right? But that dude broke my goddamn thing. And I think I'm trying to remember how much he weighed. Cause he was over 300 pounds. I know that. Rubens, you remember how much he weighed? Come on, you know he ain't served nothing but breakfast, lunch, and dinner, bro. That's the only thing he served, with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let me see something. Boom. That's all he served, with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He ain't served nothing else. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is all that dude serve. He ain't serve no country. He wouldn't even know. Like, he think he's serving in Iran right now, bro. The way he pussy popping for them. The way he acting like he ain't proud to be an American. And don't get me wrong. I ain't saying America don't have its flaws. Everywhere has its flaw, but I done been around this world a couple of times and there ain't nowhere else I would want to live. All that other shit is cool to visit, but to live, that ain't me. You got statistics today at VA? What is? Yeah, man, we had to literally walk around. That's why, bro, I'm telling you, they had to make 24-hour gyms because of fact dudes like him, bro. Because I'm telling you, man, this dude, and the only reason he ain't get kicked out is because he was a nuke. He was a nuke. If he wasn't like a nuke, he wouldn't have been nowhere near. They wouldn't have kept him in, bro. Because I'm telling you, he broke my tape. I'm proud to be American. I'm probably the only American in this chat. The rest of you are visitors and overstayed your welcome. Oh, he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys. Oh, I better get back to my country over there to the east. You know more than me. I'm here doing charity work. You ain't teach us a goddamn thing. I've been here. This is my country. Y'all overstayed. All of y'all done overstayed. Y'all welcome in my country. I'm the only American. I see a bunch of people in this chat that done served their country, that's here showing support for their country. You talking crazy. And I ain't MAGA. I'm just American, bro. I'm just American. America. I like how America sound. America. But you bugging. Not my fault a brick wall can't learn. I'm a brick wall. Bro, you ain't even teach us nothing. Did anybody see anything he typed in the chat that was worth a damn? Besides saying that he loves Iran? You know what I mean? All of us. Let's just say we not from this country, right? All of us in this chat that's not from the country. We serve for this country. We protected this country to give you the right to sit there and talk crazy and cry. And to cry about us. To know that we under your skin at 11:28 at night.
That facility, and most experts have estimated that it would take multiple bombing runs to actually get to the depth required to destroy that facility in Fordo, and it appears that the United States has now carried out that strike.
No, I know you. I know you're not talking to me. I know you're talking to Boy. I'm talking to Boy. You too.
Were they able to destroy it completely? You know, we don't know that yet. We don't have that battle data.
Nah. I know you're not talking to me. I'm talking to Boy. You too. You know what I mean? I ain't get off of his Pokemon Go ass yet. You know. That's what I'm talking to. I think we all getting on his Pokemon Go ass in the chat.
Damage assessment that they need to
We should also point out the Natanz facility, according to the IAEA and others, that was damaged by Israeli authorities. That was damaged early on in Israel's actions against Iran. The exact level of damage was not clear. There were some initial reports that perhaps the damage was worse than it actually was. The electrical supply to the centrifuges at the Natanz facility were cut. That electrical supply was cut. I spoke to the head of the IAEA who said he believed that would have caused some of the centrifuges in that Natanz facility to spin out of control and probably go offline and be damaged. But again, it seemed like Fordo had not really been directly hit as far as we know.
That's right. The Israelis had primarily focused their attention on the Natanz facility. We know that they had done extensive damage to the above ground facilities, some damage to the below ground facilities, and then as well some damage to Isfahan as well, although they left a lot of that untouched.
It's crazy because I'm seeing which I ain't expecting, you know what I mean? One thing you see in the military, you got people that name, but I'm seeing retired people on Facebook and stuff talking about they praying for our sailors and stuff. And somebody said some real shit just now that they put out there. That's that somebody, I ain't gonna put them out there and who they is, because they I appreciate you subbing, man. I mean, hit that sub button. Let me see if my alert go off. I made some old fancy shit that's supposed to go when you hit the sub button. So let me see if it worked. I hope it worked, man. I work on that shit all day today, man. I'm trying to get it. I do a little bit of everything. I play videos, and I just speak my mind, man. I speak truth, but my people, I ain't gonna say his or her name. I ain't gonna give away the gender because I tell, but they said there was a reason for the attack on Iran. Oh man, I'm gonna give it away because what she said. She's like, hubby has been on watch since yesterday, and he don't even stand watch. So that mean it was it was a threat. It had to be a threat, and that's why we did what we had to do. But like I said, I want to be on the fucking winning team, bro. Let's see if it happened. Let me see if it happened. It's supposed to pop up on my screen with like a little dancing kid and shit. I don't know if I ain't see that shit pop up. I don't pay my money for that subscription. They better count their fucking days. Do I even got it up? I don't think I got the damn. Oh, that I see why they ain't. Pay for the subscription. Let me refresh to make sure well, I know the bot is in there because he ain't shut the fuck up in a minute. That's the bot that keep telling y'all to sub and all that shit. Little chatty little bastard. But yeah, like it's people that's out there and they was saying that they was expecting a threat. I did this joint telling y'all to support the link, but I ain't see him, punch up the dang on joint for the sub button. Yeah, I see what they say about that joint, about true, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of Islamic people because I'm Muslim, but it's different. It's no different than Christianity. Like everybody don't believe in the same shit, but Iran is so many, it's over 72 different sets, And Iran, them motherfuckers is a lot, it's extremists and everything, bro. Where boy you at? We done chased boy you out of here. He done. Let me check my screen. We done chased him out of here. He got scared. He on out of here. Now he's still in the background. I see him lurking. I see him lurking back there. But he ran up out of here. He got scared, man. He got scared. I like it.
Touched. Some of that, according to experts who I've spoken to, may stem from the risk of radiation that could stem from,
They said in depth.
Let's go ahead and revisit exactly what U.S. President Donald Trump posted on his social media platform, Truth Social. We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this.
Hold up. Now, wait. I agree with you. I do agree with you on that, bro. I do. I ain't even read Boyle shit. I'm gonna get to your religious statement. I agree with you. The only thing that, and a lot of people that knows me know I feel the same way. Like I hold faith in God. I do feel like religion is a separation. Like me and my family, like we'll say that we don't subscribe to no tribe as far as that go when it comes to religion. That we just believe in God and treating people the right way. Like I believe a lot of that shit is the same thing to a extent, and then it veers off. I feel like whatever makes you be a better person and to get you to a better, how to treat people better, how to live better, how to do right, I support you on that. You know what I mean? I support you on that. I believe like we all on the same highway in different lanes, Some people in the right lane, some people in the left lane, some people down the middle. All right, let me go. Oh, cute. So you shadow ban me? I ain't never shadow ban me, bro. Why would I shadow ban you? You wasn't talking crazy. Why would I shadow ban you? That don't make no sense, bro. I never left. I submitted 2 comments 10 seconds before he claimed I was going. Nah, man. Maybe it's other people. I would have never shadow banned you, bro. He said, I'm a what? I'm trying to evaluate you, you Neil. What's up, hey? Service question. Does the Navy have religious chits? I'm a nosy pagan in the Air Force. I don't know. What do you mean by religious chits? Like you could get a chit to like what, wear a beard or do all that stuff? Like I wear a beard because I get bumps, but what do you mean by that? I wouldn't be surprised if they got certain shit. I don't really see, I haven't seen no chits for no certain, but explain what you're talking about now. Listen, bro, I like Boyu because he's keeping that conversation going, you know? And for all my mods in here, do not block Bernie Boyu. Keep him in here, bro. Keep him in here. I like him. I like Boyu. I like you because the jokes write itself with you. To make us all better conservatives. All right, bro, whatever. I'm not a conservative. I'm an independent, if anything. How you gonna tell us make us better patriots when most of us in here talking in the chat is active duty or served before? Yeah, I hope we leave learning something too, cause that way. But you need that, bro. You gotta have the yin and the yang, you know? You know what I mean? You gotta have the yin and the yang, man. And boy, he makes it interesting, you know? So I mean, we went and cherished people. Like I could tell you, boy is the coolest kid on the spectrum. Rubik's Cube, see there it go right there. It finally came up 15 minutes later. You see what I talk about? The little man dancing. Thanks for subbing, bro. I've been messing with that shit all day trying to figure to get that shit to how to pop up with the little boy dancing and shit. I had some other little corny shit. I ain't gonna lie. If you ever watch what's the name of that shit? ATL Atlanta, that joint with Childish Gambino. It's a decent show. He always have like a couple of episodes that's weird as shit. But when I came off of deployment, I was watching his joint and he had one, and it was that little boy. Like it's supposed to be a story, and he used like an example of that little boy that's dancing, and he was dancing in class, and the teacher called his parents, and his mama came and beat his ass, you know. And when she came and beat his ass, the teacher like called CPS on him, and they took him away. And she didn't really beat his ass. The pop slapped him. I mean, he kind of deserved it. He was being a fucking nuisance. He was acting like boy, you should subscribe. You been in the chat all fucking night keeping us entertained. You might as well subscribe, man. We ain't gonna ban you over here, man. This is a home for you. You know what I mean? When we want the opposite effect on what it is to be a patriot, we gonna reach out to you. You're gonna be like our local correspondent. I do my chats. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to get better at it. I tell you, I went on a hiatus for a little while, but I'm getting back on it. I'm trying to get back on at least like probably like every other day or at least every day. You know what I mean? Sometimes I go live from my phone. What I might do is if I don't get on right here on the computer like I had the old fancy effects and all that shit, I could get on from my phone and do what you call it, do it for my, cause I'd be doing like vlogs from my car when I'm on my way to work. And I ain't gonna lie, I talk all this shit, I'll be on there crying, ready to cry, going to work. I gotta go to work. You know, but my job is pretty sweet. I like my job, you know. You know, I do cool shit, you know, from time to not no more, but I used to do real cool shit. Yo, that boy talking about That Pokemon boy, I might have to make some joint for him. Did you guys learn something from Bush, Rodney, McCain, and Syria? Nah, tell us. You said you in here to teach us, bro. Teach us. Teach us, Sensei. Matter of fact, I got somebody that you remind me of, boy. I'm going to bring him over here to the chat. Hold on. Teach all of y'all how to be great Americans. My family found this country. We found this country. We native idiots. Press the like, share, and subscribe button. Okay? Okay, I'm gonna get off screen now. I'm gonna cover up my name, but I also got a degree, boy, you, because you're smarter than me. I went to an institution too and paid my money and learned some education stuff too. You know, my daughter upstairs, like, what the hell is my father doing down there on the internet? You know? Alright, I'm done. I'm done acting like Boyle. Yeah, give me chat going crazy. I'm talking my phone, my group chat going crazy. Wow. Let me read some of Boyle chats because he talking. I ain't seen nothing yet, man. You see something? I'm gonna change something real quick. I don't like how the chat box is looking right there. That shit took 50 years for the goddamn my little dancing man to dump up. You pay for a service and the service take a sweet time to do stuff, you know. Streaming tools, overlay gallery. I'll let this play while.
Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, Hamda Salhoud's joining us now from Jordan's capital. She's in Amman because Israel's government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and the occupied West Bank. So, Hamda, we've known for a while now that Israeli officials have been calling on the U.S. to support their efforts, their conflict with Iran. Now we have confirmation from the U.S. president, from Donald Trump, that the U.S. has struck 3 nuclear sites inside of Iran. Are we hearing anything from Israel at this stage?
That look good. Let's hit save.
Well, we aren't getting much from Israeli officials just yet because it is late, around 3 a.m. local time. But look, let's just give you some background and some context. Since Israel decided to attack Iran 9 days ago, they had been saying that they do want the Americans to get involved in this. This is what was being pushed in Israeli media. There were banners that were being put up across places in Israel, unclear by who, calling on President Trump to, quote, finish the job. So it's important to note also that within the last day, reports have emerged of Israeli officials having a call with people in the Trump administration, but not President Trump himself, that Israel was growing
What's my
impatient with the
NEC?
U.S. not deciding if they were going to get
My
involved or
NEC, my
not,
rate.
that
I'm
they
an
didn't
AZ,
want to
but I don't
wait
do
2
I
weeks,
mean,
this
I guess
2-week
I do more
deadline
IT
that
work
President
now.
Trump had
At the
previously
spot I'm at
given, that
now,
the Israelis
shootily.
were considering
I did a little bit of
attacking the
everything. Once I
Fordo
made
site
chief, I
on their
didn't work
own.
in my
But it's
rate.
worth mentioning that this
I
is a
ran
site
my
that's
rate
one,
as far
incredibly
as being in
secretive,
charge,
two,
but
mainly
I haven't
underground,
really
and three, it's
hands-on.
deep in the
Them cats that's
mountains.
in the
It's
chat
dug
to
up in
tell
the
you they
side
did the work.
of a
I just
mountain. So the
made them.
Israelis didn't even know
I
if
just
they
shine
had
a
the
light.
capabilities
They
to
kept
do
me
that,
out
which
of
is
trouble.
why they wanted the Americans to come in with their weaponry, with
I
their
work
bunker-busting
aviation.
bombs to attack this site. So the Israelis were considering doing this already on their own. Netanyahu said that it was not off the table once Israel started striking Iran, but they were still waiting for U.S. support. And
Old
Netanyahu had
man,
said
my
while
body ain't
visiting
like it
a
used to be.
building
Now
that
that
was
I'm in my
struck by an
40s.
Iranian missile that this war would continue with or without the American support, with or without the American weaponry that could be dropped if they continued, or they considered rather, conducting their own airstrikes. But this is something the Israelis wanted from the very beginning. Both Israel and the United States have said that they don't want Israel to acquire a nuclear weapon, and they don't want Iran to have any sort of capability to enrich uranium, which is
Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie. I'm scared of any fanatics of whatever, religious, military, anything that could, like, you cannot, when somebody truly believe in some shit, you can't change their mind, bro. Like, they will go all out for something that they truly feel is the right in their head. They'll go all out. You work with a retired Navy chief who's an MA, he might be all right, but I ain't gonna lie. Some chiefs are assholes. Dude, that dude got my picture up there. Oh, man, my biggest fan is in the building. Boy, turned his profile picture to my picture, bro. I made it. Mama, I made it. Mama, I made it, boy. That dude turned his profile picture into my picture in the chat. Mama, I made it. Yo, I love it, man. I love it. That boy turned his profile picture to my picture. Welcome to Uncle Mo TV. I made it, bro. That's what's up. I was A440. Bro, I love it, man. You could have got a better picture than me. That's a picture for me at Fleet Week. I just took a little joint, man. You could have got a little better picture, but I like it, bro. Hey guys, it's me, Uncle Bo. I love Birdie Boyers. He just way smarter than me. But I ain't got your picture up there. You got my picture up there, baby. You got my picture up there, man. Oh man, bro. That's the most diddiest shit I seen today. And let's play that. Why something like that? I gotta take a drink for that, boy. I got a crush, man. I like
is
it.
what they're doing primarily.
I like it. A crush that didn't even subscribe to the channel. That's fucked up.
So this is surely
I
going
thought
to
you
be
loved
received
me.
well in Israel as part of their prolonged campaign, they say, against Iran.
Hamda, just stay with us for a moment, if you will. On your screens right now, you can see the 3 nuclear sites that President Donald Trump says the U.S. has attacked. U.S. forces have hit Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The Natanz site is Iran's main uranium enrichment site. Fordo is another facility where nuclear fuel can be purified, and Isfahan is a site that Iran uses to convert uranium. Now, Hamda, with regard to Israeli officials, as you mentioned a moment ago, we know that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as other government leaders in Israel, have indicated that they were going to continue attacking Iran, whether the U.S. entered the conflict or not. Now that we know that the U.S. has entered the conflict by targeting these 3 sites.
Let's take a short intermission, you know, because, I mean, that boy Bernie remind me of Diddy so much, bro. I don't know if y'all been following that case, but that boy Diddy a freak. Boy Diddy a freak. Let's go Trump. Okay, that's how you feel. All right. But yeah, that boy Diddy a freak, man. That boy made that. You should have changed your name. You should have changed your name to my shit too, bro. Embrace it. Embrace your daddy. Since I'm your daddy, embrace your daddy. I want to see how they feel over there. Like, I want to find their news, how they feel.
We have some breaking news coming.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. We're gonna have to do Diddy case like a little, like Soul Sound we want to do it, but I done heard too much craziness in that case, man.
Citizen or military in the region is now a legitimate target. A news anchor said on
they media talking shit
television, and I'm quoting here, "Mr. Trump, you started it and we will end it." Now, the broadcast showed a large graphic of American bases in West Asia with the headline, "Within the fire range of Iran." The anchor said the U.S. had no legitimate place in the region. Now, we have just breaking news just coming in. We have some Iranian media reacting to this, and we have our correspondent Susan just joining in. Susan, now we were just talking about these targets that Iran has time to time said that they will be targeting these if U.S. get involved. What is the latest that you can bring in?
So we were talking about Iran's capabilities, and I failed to mention another very important thing. All of those individuals that make decisions in situations like these have been killed by Israel. Iran's top commanders have...
What she said, all of those who make decisions in this stuff, boy, has been dead. They've been unalive. They're for dead. You know more than all of them with my picture up there. Everybody say what up to Boyu,
all been eliminated by Israel. And then the second important thing is that air defense, where it seems that Israel has complete control of Iranian skies. The third that could really do harm, we know Iran has proxies, but Hezbollah. And Hezbollah has essentially been almost eliminated. I mean, completely not able to defend Iran even during these 9 days. So we're hearing these news coming out of Tehran, but we're also hearing from some regional Iranian officials who are saying that, a war has started, that some of our nuclear facilities have been, to a certain extent, damaged, but they're claiming that Fordo hasn't. So it has had damage, but it's not completely gone. So, this disconnect between what Iran is saying and what it's capable of doing in terms of retaliation really needs to be examined. And again, once we know what the damage assessment is, then, and I think once Iranians know themselves as well, they're in a sense of shock right now. Once they know, then I think they'll have a better picture of if they have the capability to retaliate and to what extent they can retaliate.
All right, Susan, of course, we'll be getting to that also. And also to discuss more, we are now being joined by Bishop Garrison. He is a former senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense and current senior fellow at the George Mason University Law School. He's joining us live from Virginia. Thank you so much for joining us. This is breaking news just coming in. U.S. has now been involved in this Israel-Iran war. Your first
I'm so glad you here too, man. You get to laugh at Boyu in real time. You hear how this boy talking?
I want to understand and know, and I think the American people deserve to know,
AKA
what conversations
Little Baby
the
Mo.
White House and the administration had with Congress, with U.S. Congress before this took place. There was no declaration of war against Iran, so there must have been some type of imminent threat to take this type of action, this level of action against that sovereign nation. So the president needs to say that in his statement tonight and really make out a clear case as to why this may have taken place. The United States has been in the region at war for the past 20 years. I myself am a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom. So again, the American people have already had a strong disdain for this type of military action. So it needs to be a clear indication as to why at this moment, at this time, the president and the administration felt it was necessary. There was a clear, imminent threat to the United States and its interest for them to take on this type of action.
Absolutely, and we were discussing with our correspondent Susan that what kind of reactions we can expect from Iran, and there's some some points that she put in that we really don't know at this point of time what kind of reaction we get from Iran, because so far we haven't seen, we don't know what kind of capabilities they have. So far they have just warned, and now we have some Iranian media saying that now every American citizen and military target is a legitimate target. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, we should not be surprised by that type of statement. For Americans in the region, this is an potentially active war. And Americans and our allies, our partners that are in the region need to understand that they're going to be potentially targeted. Our bases will potentially be targeted. And there should be some major concerns here. Again, we need to understand what comes next. What is the potential follow-on plans for this, and are we clear that we really did reduce, minimize, or even
crazy to see how many people on
the
social media
Iranian
don't know
nuclear
what the hell they're talking
potential
about.
capability at this point? Again, the United States intelligence community was stipulating that they did not have the ability to build any type of nuclear weapon, nor were they going to build one. So,
Boy, you think this the first time we got into it with fucking Iran? Back in 2011 and 2012, we surged the Middle East and put 2 carrier presence out there to go at it with Iran. You don't know what the hell you talking about. This ain't some shit that started 9 days ago. This been in the makings for over fucking 20 years. Like, it's always y'all that never served in nothing. Only thing you served was soft ice cream on a fucking cold winter night, but you ain't never served the country, but you sitting here talk about we know this and that and that. You know what I mean? You are Little Mo. You got my picture up there. I ain't got yours. And all you did was Google a lot of fake ass conspiracy theories. And what are you overthrowing? Ain't nobody overthrowing anything, bro. And what you mean countries we supposed to overthrow? Do you know how strong the American military is? One carrier group is a bigger military than most countries in the world. Just one carrier group. Yeah, this shit crippled China and fucking Russia, because that's probably where they was trying to get their nuclear weapons from. And if we hit them, now they don't have the arms, they don't have the same capabilities they had yesterday.
Again, we need to understand why the administration was willing and able to take this type of risk on, given the second and third tier ramifications of what it ultimately means.
Somebody said it was unconstitutional. I want to know how.
We're also looking at, what kind of escalation we're looking at. Regional, U.S.
Let's see if I can have an educated conversation.
There has been some kind of
or people just going to talk on their feelings.
For diplomats.
First of all, I'll tell you this. I ain't without telling everything. It would never know
are we expecting from Iran?
What our military actions is going to be until afterwards. And you're only going to know what they want the general public to know. Shit, it's motherfuckers in the mix of the fight that ain't gonna know what's going on.
The Trump administration
that's why we got security clearances and different levels of information we need to know.
Our overall government footprint to include the State Department. So individuals that normally would be involved in any type of diplomatic processes, any type of review of nuclear policies, of any type of
see, and it's crazy. I'm seeing a lot of
designed to help alleviate and
retired military
we
talking
don't have the same type of structure
out their
that
ass
we did before. So this is going to be a very complex piece moving on, and we really need to hear tonight, the world needs to hear from the president and from this administration what plans they have in place or are ready to put in place in order to ensure that this doesn't go any further than it already has.
And also we've heard
due to security, you cannot just get on the stage and tell the world our war plans. Like, that's fucking dumb. A fucking basketball team or baseball team ain't gonna get out there and tell their opponents, here go my fucking playbook, here you go. This will make you feel good. Like, let's be for real, man. They get these fake ass correspondents. Like, I ain't trusting nobody that look like that anyway, bro. Like, let's be for real. All of y'all that keep saying my president this, my president that, and blah 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 blah. Yo, we was gonna go at it with these people regardless. You right. And the crazy part, Rubik's, a lot of these people that's fucking talking that shit. Oh, if I would,
to the point, remember, there was a lot of talk
they was
today
the laziest
about
motherfuckers,
this
bro.
kind of fleet of B-2 bombers, it was reported, flying towards Guam, west.
Yeah, this
And
is
then you have
not
to think,
something
well, why
that
would they be flying west? Jennifer
we
Griffin
know
reporting this.
damn
The
well
mission followed reports, of course, of 6
that this
B-2s
was something
taking
that
off
been in the works
from
for
Whiteman Air Force Base in
years.
Missouri around midnight last night. While initial chatter suggested the aircraft were headed west toward Guam, Jennifer Griffin noted the true flight path was likely east, directly toward Iran, and what appears to have been a calculated deception. How much did that throw Iran off guard?
Well, I will say
Yeah, the
this.
writing
The
been
art
on
of
the
war
wall.
is
Yeah.
deception, and misdirection. And this was very well done. It was, they said they're going west. I actually, I was sitting there doing the math.
And this another thing for y'all in here, right? Y'all really think the goddamn president sit here and make all these decisions that goes on in every day? Y'all really think that shit? This motherfucker don't make no goddamn decisions like that. He has people, cabinets, military advisors that actually make these decisions. You think his ass is I don't trust my mom at 67 driving her goddamn car by herself. You think this motherfucker's coming up with all that shit? He has people around him that's telling him these are the moves that need to be made. And it had to be something that said, this is what we have to do right now, bro. Where in the Bible does it speaks on it? Put it in the chat, since you said the Bible speaks on it, that the Bible said that we gonna send bombs to take care of nuclear facilities in Iran. Bernie, man, you got all my picture up there. You ain't even subscribe to the joint, man. That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up, bro. That's fucked up. You ain't even subscribe to me, but you got my picture up there. That's crazy. Yeah, people around him. What I don't know what WIT is, but yeah, like, come on, he got advisors. He got a lot of shit. He ain't doing none of that shit. So, man, I'm in the military, man. Nobody be doing all that shit by there. Man. You fucking crazy if you think that anybody that there's sitting lambs over there. You think they ain't got nothing in effect to like they ain't think what's gonna happen next. You think they just they did this and ain't think it all the way through? Like, I ain't saying that. I'm not saying that it's the best, but I'm telling you, they thought about it more than what you think, man. They thought multiple different case scenarios on how this thing would go. They ain't think of it just as it just don't work like that. Yeah, go with the chat, but it just don't work like that, bro. They have multiple different scenarios, man, on how to get, you think they gonna attack these cats over in the Middle East, right? And then we got all of our people just sitting there, not thinking about like what's gonna happen to them. Do that make sense? Would you do something to somebody and not think of how they gonna retaliate? That don't even make sense. like how the chat look better with that on it. But yeah, that don't even make sense. I'm gonna get back. Let me go to Little Bernie, aka Little Mel. Let me see. They definitely, man. We probably at World War 11 now. All the time we done went at it with everybody. Poor trooper, for real. You talk about all the poor troops over there, man. They ain't no sacrificial lambs, man. You said, I got your picture, you got my picture. Yeah, like I done been over there, multiple times. Shit, I just was on deployment. Shit, that's why I wanted to come up with making a YouTube channel once I got off deployment. I just did almost a year over there, not even counting the lead up to that shit. So almost 2 years straight of that. So, I mean, I know how it is, man. Shit, it's like you said, it's a backup plan to a backup plan to an alternative plan. It ain't no just one case scenario, man. ORM, man. Operational risk management, man. If the benefit don't outweigh the risk, they ain't doing it. Like he said, misdirection, man. 48 laws of power lead your enemy so far down the wrong direction. By the time they realize your true intention, it's too late. So the 23rd or 24th or whatever it is. All right. Even if I update it now, it's going to keep the same.
Math. I'm like, you don't
I'm
really
gonna stop
gain
talking
much
to him for you
by forward deploying our bombers to Guam. And by the way, I should mention, I've been to Guam a lot. I've been on Anderson Air Force Base. I've seen the hangars where the B-2s are stored. I mean, I'm very familiar with that, but the math just doesn't support it. The only thing you really gain out of it is that if you're going to do a really long range mission out of Guam, you don't get anything in terms of range. But if you're doing a long range mission, you may not have to overfly some place.
I ain't gonna lie, I've been on Guam too. Guam is a very beautiful base. I was the first port that I ever went to. But the crazy thing is, I remember that base that he's talking about. I was on the ship. This is like 2007. We flew off the ship. I was a group. I was early that flying back to California. And we flew from Guam to Marshall Islands. No, did we go to Guam first? No, yeah, we went to Guam first. We flew to Guam. When I landed there, and that's my second time there, we landed on the Air Force base. That shit was beautiful, man. Beautiful. I'm like, oh, this is all right. This is lit. Get to stay here for a couple of days because we was going to be there for maybe 2 or 3 days before we catch our next flight to go to Hawaii. I'm like, this shit is crazy. This is nice. I'm making plans in my head. And then they told us, yo, y'all not staying here. Y'all going to stay on the Navy base. These motherfuckers brought us to some base that was dead near abandoned and had us on real life cots like this was World War II, bro. And 3 to a room. Shit was wild ass fucking big ass bullfrogs jumping around. I was highly disappointed, man. You had to stay fucking saucy, drunk, or whatever just to sleep through the night, and that shit flies. But I don't even know if we had AC there, bro. I think that shit was an abandoned base they threw us on for them 2 days we was there, man. But other than that, I did party my ass off. I woke up with a belly tattoo and all that shit.
Places that you otherwise would have to overfly, which is kind of important when you're doing long-range bomber missions. But there wasn't a whole lot that was gained from doing that. Now, what we're certainly seeing is they said, hey, we're going to Guam. Now, Guam is known to host B-2s. They have a facility to do so. They have a big hangar and stuff. So that would make sense, to say, okay, they're going to Guam because that is the one place we acknowledge where we could actually put B-2s other than White Air Force Base. So it's, it's like, okay, but it was complete misdirection. They had launched. They can't really cover up the fact they've launched. I mean, literally you could sit outside the base and watch them launch. So you can't really cover that part up, operationally speaking. But where they're going, once they get in the air, once they get at altitude, they're stealth bombers. You can't see them at night. They can change course and go another direction, which obviously they did. And so this was all part of, operational tactical deception. The other thing, too, which you and I have talked about quite a bit, was the language that was being used. Within 2 weeks. That's what the president said. Within 2 weeks. That's what the White House was saying, within 2 weeks, which the Iranians heard, oh, great, we got 2 weeks. And some were saying, and nobody was wanting to disabuse them of that because nobody was going to say exactly when they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But if you want to believe 2 weeks, you can. So the Iranians, I think, were pretty much caught off guard. They didn't expect this to happen when it happened, which is if you're a big military strike, that's what you want. So, it was very. I got to tell you, I'm with you. This was very well executed, very well done. They achieved what they were trying to achieve, which is they caught the Iranians off guard, and of course, the airspace has to be completely coordinated with the Israelis. So, you knew that was going to have to be a very integrated sort of approach, regardless. By the way, I would mention the Israelis also hit the F-14s. All right. So now, look, Iran doesn't have much in the way of fighter aircraft, and those F-14s are really old. They can't do much. But these are B-2 bombers. Their whole thing is stealth. And if an F-14 was to get in the air, was to find some way to get into proximity of a B-2 bomber, there is a potential threat that they could pose. Well, the Israelis took that off. They eliminated that. So there was a coordinated piece with the Israelis on this. It wasn't just us. The Israelis did something in coordination with this.
Okay. Hal Kemper, we're going to leave it at that. We always appreciate your insight, especially on this historic occasion. Hal, thanks so much. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, back out live there to the White House. I want to put up this map so you can get a sense of the bunker bomb strategy there. So you just heard the president saying that Iran's key nuclear sites were, quote unquote, completely and fully obliterated by U.S. strikes. Trump made the comments you just heard at the White House tonight, hours after announcing the U.S. military had carried out strikes against 3 key nuclear facilities in Iran. The president also warned Tehran against carrying out retaliatory attacks against the U.S., saying Iran has the choice between peace or tragedy. So this is a breaking news update, as you know. Also, Iran's nuclear agency on Sunday, it's Sunday in Iran, confirming attacks took.
You ain't gonna lie, looking at that shit, we only hit 1. They still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They still got 7 other facilities. Like, you only hit 1. And then they got their research slots. They got 3 other research. And that's what we know of. I doubt we know of all their assets and where they got them. That wouldn't even make sense, It's always secret bases everywhere. So I don't even know. That don't even make sense to even. If they, I hope they, I hope they are that stupid. I hope they not that stupid, but I hope they are that stupid. But, yeah, over on Rumble, my boy Soul Sounds always over there supporting the chat while at work and shit. He was saying he pray that the president is making the right decision. Shit, I pray for that too, man. And I pray for all my brothers and sisters that's out there, and my brothers and sisters in arms that's going over there to bring the fight to their doorsteps, That's one way, little boy, you that we've been winning, because we ain't fight a war on American soil besides the Civil War. Since the Civil War, we fought the Revolutionary War and shit right here too. But I'm pretty sure somebody in your family. Wes, I see you got a fan in the joint too. Oh yeah, I said I'm gonna stop talking to him. My bad. Let me get back to
place on its Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz atomic sites, but is insisting that its work will not be stopped. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran issued that statement after President Trump announced the American attack on the facilities here. So there is confirmation from Iran that there was actual targets that were struck by the United States. Their state-run news agency, IRNA, reported early Sunday the attacks targeted the.
If it goes all out, they probably would. Like, that's what, right before I got online, Pat Rubik's and them was in the group chat talking shit to me, saying that they gonna make me go out there, take me off of shore duty and make me go out there. Christina, you right about that. That's a true statement. You can't make the right decision if you crazy. But like I said, he ain't making all the decisions, man. He got that. They got them advisors in the can. They got the joint task forces. It's so many people in line around him and shit. They giving him, they feeding him the information, and then he say that, yeah, like the president can't declare war. He can mobilize the troops, but he can't declare war. Congress got to make it an act of war.
Countries, Isfahan and Natanz.
But yeah, I would have to go if all hell break loose.
Nuclear sites. The IRNA quoted an individual by the name of Akbar Salehi. That's Isfahan's deputy governor in charge of security affairs, saying there had been attacks around the sites, though he did not elaborate. Another official confirmed an attack targeting Iran's underground Fordo nuclear site here. So in the meantime, we do want to bring in more voices to the conversation, including my friend there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, David Dawood. He's going to join us in just a moment here.
I pray I stay
All right,
where
like
I'm
I
at
said
too.
here,
I
David
just
Dawood
got
joining
here.
me. We are
I
in
don't wanna
full breaking news coverage here. We want to thank everyone for watching on this very late Saturday night. David, thanks for joining us on this late Saturday night, but it's a historic occasion, a historic, momentous occasion here. I'm going to ask a simplistic question that may sound somewhat glib and simplistic to viewers. Has the United States ever struck targets inside Iran? Have we ever used military force inside the country of Iran?
Yeah.
No, not to this extent. There was Operation Eagle.
And you gotta understand the way they be wording shit. Instead of saying, yeah, he's like, no, not to that extent. What the fuck you mean? Either we did or we didn't. And we know damn well 9 out of 10 we did, bro. We done hit, maybe not directly the Iranian government, but we hit, assets and shit that we needed to get rid of, But they bugging.
Eagle Claw, which was meant to rescue American hostages that were held by affiliates of the government of Iran after the revolution. That unfortunately failed. The hostages were not rescued. They were released upon the President Reagan taking office. But this is unprecedented for the United States to have struck Iran at all internally and definitely in this manner.
So, David, I have to ask this, and maybe this is unanswerable right now. I mean, President Trump did say Iran's nuclear program is completely obliterated after tonight here. How will we know that? Will we have, people on the ground?
Yeah, I'm with him on that. I think we might have did a dent, but I don't believe that shit. I believe we probably did a dent to their shit though. But I don't believe that we completely obliterated their shit. I think they got hit and shit. They had that shit all the way under the ground.
Who can confirm that? Yes, the president is saying that here. But as far as Iran's nuclear program, where does it stand right now? What phase is it in? Is it completely decimated, like the president says, or is it too early to know?
Well, right now I'd say it's too early to know. The Iranians themselves are saying that the fissile material was moved out of the facilities prior to the strikes, or much earlier than the strikes they were claiming. Now, look, is that true? Is that a face-saving claim so they can walk down the escalatory ladder? Right now, these strikes put them in a position where they may have to respond in some fashion. They've been threatening to attack U.S. assets and U.S. personnel for some time. If any strike by the United States occurred in Iran, now it's time for them to put their figurative money where their mouth is, and they may not want to do that because there will be consequences. As President Trump said, "You attack us, we're going to keep attacking back." So it may be that this is their way, claiming that the fissile material was moved to be able to walk this back and not follow through on these threats. It may be true. I think time will tell more so than anything. We have the intelligence.
Let's keep it real. Iran seen what we did to Afghanistan. They seen what we did to Iraq. What it took us less than 2 weeks to take over the whole damn country. They seen what we did, man. We already got them blocked in with NATO and all our assets set around and talk about they nowhere. Let them motherfuckers try one base over there. You ain't gonna tear that shit the fuck up. Watch.
That the Israelis were able to gather on location of these sites, nuclear scientists. I mean, obviously that's going to be put into play to figure out what the state of Iran's nuclear weapons program, its nuclear program period, but particularly its nuclear weapons program is after these strikes. But that may take some time to make that full assessment.
I mean,
Ben, we're getting some live activity. As you can see, the sky's lighting up there in Jerusalem. Trey.
Yeah, Sandra, we are seeing what appear to be some interceptor rounds coming off from the sea, which means some of that missile fire certainly has started. As I talk to you here, we're just going to put on some protective gear, and my cameraman, Yaniv, is going to follow some of these small dots of light that you see in the sky. Remember, we do expect any sort of defensive response to be paired not only with Israeli systems, but also American systems. But this is an indication that that missile fire is imminent. Sandra?
And
John?
we know this is happening after the IDF, as we were just discussing, Trey, just a short while ago, identified these missiles launched from Iran towards the territory of the state of Israel. The defense systems are operating to intercept that threat. We know there, as you are doing now, public's been instructed to enter.
Goddamn vest and that little helmet ain't gonna stop no goddamn missile. Boy, stop.
A protected space, remain there until further notice. Trey, we're just getting a firsthand look at what you are going through just to deliver the news from Tel Aviv at this hour.
You're better than me, player.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Sandra and John, when we talk about these missile attacks, we have seen them before. You might remember last year on April 1st, the Israelis targeted the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria, and they killed a top official from the IRGC. 12 days later, the Iranians responded with missiles and drones toward this country. There was a similar attack against Israel in October of 2024. And during that attack, we were in the northern city of Haifa, and you could see the incoming Iranian ballistic missiles over Syrian airspace as some of them were intercepted. And just stay with me here. I just want to talk to my crew very quickly to ensure we know what's happening. But just to give you a sense of how quickly these things happen, the Israelis do get an alert ahead of time. And an official told me just before we got on air here that the top spokesman for the Israeli military, and I'm just going to step out of the frame here, Yaniv, off in the distance, look at the skyline, and you're going to see this is likely Israel's Arrow defense system or David Sling. These are live images coming to you right now as Israel works to intercept incoming ballistic missile fire. This is a very fluid situation, so stay with us here. And I'm just going to toss it back to you for 10 seconds as I talk to the crew. I want to make sure everyone is prepared in case we need to move quickly.
Trey, do what you have to do. We'll check back in with you in a moment. Get back to Ben Hall. Ben, your thoughts?
Well, Sandra, remember that we saw some of these similar attacks last year when the Iranians fired about 200 missiles at Israel. And in that case, the Iron Dome and the other air defense systems shot down all of them, except about, I believe it was 60 of them.
I'm trying to see around the world how they report on this thing.
Hello, this is special coverage from 7 News. I'm Michael Usher. We can report that Donald Trump has confirmed American forces have struck 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Now, the US president is due to speak from the White House at any moment. We're standing by to bring that to you live. That is going to be an address to the nation. The box you can see on the screen right there is being fed from the White House. You'll see Mr. Trump appear in that any minute, but we will bring that to you as it happens. There's been reaction from Israel as well. So let's bring in our foreign editor, Hugh Whitfield, leading our coverage and joining me at the desk now. We've heard from Benjamin Netanyahu just a few seconds ago, Hugh.
Michael, the Israeli Prime Minister is saying that America has been unsurpassed, doing something that no other country was capable of doing, and that is attacking those 3 nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan, those 3 nuclear facilities where it is believed Iran was working towards a nuclear weapon. Now, Fordo, just outside Tehran, was the most difficult for Israel to attack if they were going to do it alone. It is deep inside the mountains, about 80 to 90 metres below the surface. It is a nuclear enrichment site. And then Isfahan is where they were believed to be turning nuclear-grade uranium into weapons-grade uranium. And that path to a nuclear weapon is what the world has been fearing from Iran. There is wide consensus, particularly across the Western world, that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. The question was, how do you stop them? Through diplomacy or strikes like this?
Well, Mr. Trump has answered that and used strikes instead of diplomacy. Hugh, reading just before we came on air that it looks like at least 3 of those incredible B-2 US bombers have been used. A live shot of the White House where we'll be taking Donald Trump's address in just a second. 3 B-2 bombers, particularly in that site that you mentioned, Fordo, dropping those incredible 6-metre-long massive ordnance bunker buster bombs. These are the things that dig tens of metres underground and penetrate that site, geographically a difficult area.
Yeah, and only America has those B-2 bombers capable of carrying these weapons, and they are the ones that drill right down below the surface, up to 60 metres below the surface, and then explode after the impact with the Earth. So it means that the missiles are burying down deep below before going off. Now, Iran has offered some limited reaction at this stage, saying that so far they believe there is no fallout, there is no radiation from Fordo in particular. But of course, the big question comes after this address by the US president. What will be Iran's response? Will it be a military response, or will they come to the table?
Well, here comes Mr. Trump now, Hugh. Let's just start to listen into him because he will begin speaking immediately, flanked by his Vice President and Republican
Thank you
leaders.
very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular,
to be up at 8 a.m.
God.
so I can stream
I want to
that.
just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, the US President Donald Trump speaking there, flanked by his Vice President, his Secretary of State and Secretary of Defence there, Hugh Whitfield on the desk with me. Should also add too that we have our reporters in Washington DC and also in Tel Aviv who will cross to shortly. But Hugh Whitfield, our foreign editor, at the desk. There's Marley and there's Jackie. We'll go to you both in a minute for reaction to what we've just heard. And we will play what Benjamin Netanyahu has said as well. He's released a video statement. But Hugh, that is interesting. I think the bit toward the end is more fascinating. Donald Trump saying after this aggressive strike, it's now up to Iran to talk about peace, to go down diplomatic channels, it would seem. But if not, they will bomb more, and there are many more targets to get.
Yeah.
Like they said, if we hit what we thought was the hardest at the time, them other joints, they gonna fuck around and find out, man. Hopefully, they can come to the table and speak peace and agree to our terms. If not, they gonna fuck around and find out.
It's a decision that Donald Trump is putting on Tehran. Is this one and done from the US, or will there be more strikes to come? Now, Donald Trump saying there that the choice is peace or tragedy. So he's effectively trying to engender a situation where the Iranian regime comes to the negotiating table. Now, there were talks in Geneva in the last 24 hours with European foreign ministers. That did not go so well because Iran effectively said there will be no further negotiations until Israel stops its strikes. Now the US has come into it. So Iran being pushed into a corner now. Do they want to come to the negotiating table, end their nuclear program completely, or do they want further attacks?
Let's just bring up on the screen too to remind our viewers what we're talking about here. This is the United States using its absolute military might to strike 3 targets deep inside Iran. There they are coming up on the screen now. Fordo, that was the most difficult site we understand.
That's a good graphics though. They saying they hit those 3. That's the most difficult joint, and that's in the center. When we just gotta do is block them in from side. Like it ain't even no match really.
Natanz and Isfahan, as Hugh was describing earlier when we came on air less than 10 minutes ago. Fordo was the difficult site, and that's where we believe the US has used its enormous B-2 long-range bombers and dropped those bunker-busting bombs on that site, which has the capacity to penetrate deep underground. Of course, Hugh, the threat here, the risk was if you destroy nuclear facilities, what chance of radiation and further damage from there? We're not getting any indication at all, are we, out of Iran that is the case at this stage?
The early indication from Iran is that there is no radiation, but the president there confirming what he described as massive precision strikes on those 3 locations. He described Iran as the #1 state sponsor of terror and said that this operation has been a spectacular military success, saying that the Tehran regime has been the bully in the Middle East and they must now make peace. And Donald Trump has spoken for some time about his mantra of peace through strength. He has said that for 40 years Iran has been saying death to America. And in fact, in the last 24 hours, we saw the people of Iran on the streets burning American and Israeli flags. He described the pilots who flew those missions in those B-2 bombers as American patriots and said he hoped they wouldn't have to be called upon again, with the hope that there may be peace through this American strength. But the ball is now very much in the court of those leaders in Tehran and the Ayatollah.
We'll try and get some vision up also of what those B-2 bombers look like to our viewers right now, can get an understand of the military hardware that's been used on this. But I might just head now overseas. Hugh, stay on the desk with me. I know you're going to show us in more detail on the map in a minute the areas that we're talking about. Marley Hogan, Jackie Robson, Washington DC and Tel Aviv. Let's go to you now. Marley Hogan, this is an interesting position for the US president. I mean, for some days now, he had been telling the world that, look, in the next 2 weeks, we might take some action, but the decision's mine, only I know about it. And then sure enough, within hours, in the very early hours of the morning in Iran, he's ordered that incredible military strike.
Yeah, Masha, it was only 2 days ago that US President Donald Trump was saying that he would make his decision within the next 2 weeks. And even then, we were reporting that there was speculation coming from Iranian officials wondering if that was a decoy or a distraction and that a strike was imminent. There's now a very strong case that that is the way that the US president was always thinking. On the other hand, we don't know if there was a tipping point for the US president where he decided that he didn't feel that Iran was going to come to the negotiating table and that there was going to be a possibility of making progress there. It was only yesterday that Iran's foreign minister was saying that he would negotiate only if Donald Trump picked up the phone to his ally, Benjamin Netanyahu, and told him to stop those strikes. And we know that yesterday Donald Trump said that that would be something very difficult to do, and now he has made the decision to go ahead. Look, the big question now is what will Iran do? US troops will be bracing for Iranian retaliation. There are more than 40,000 troops stationed across the Middle East. There are bases in the UAE, in Turkey, Qatar, Bahrain. Now, we know that the US has been preparing for any kind of retaliation. It has been bolstering its forces in the region. They were even shipping over extra blood supply in case there are any retaliation or any strikes towards those troops. But right now, those 40,000 troops are all potential Iranian targets. Of course, Donald Trump, in that announcement that he put out on social media that he had done these strikes, he also said that now is the time for peace, suggesting that there could still be a diplomatic solution here. But we don't know how Iran feels about that. We know that Iran's foreign minister isn't in the country. Well, he wasn't in the country when these strikes took place. He was in Turkey, and he made a comment saying that if the US gets involved in this conflict, that it is going to be a very, very...
He's stupid as fuck. You in Turkey, which is a NATO country, they got you. He talking that crazy shit. He knocked off all your military and you ran to hide in Turkey. They knock off all the heads of your military. And he ran to go hide in Turkey and then talking shit from Turkey when you literally in our front yard. Like, make it make sense, man. Make it make sense.
dangerous situation. That's what comments that he made only hours earlier. Now, other options for Iran is that they could lean into more nuclear activity. We need to know for sure how successful the US attack was. Obviously, Donald Trump says that it was a complete obliteration, but we'll need to see more evidence of that, which we should get in the coming hours.
Yeah, and Marley, actually, we're looking at pictures on the screen now. We're told are just in from the White House. That's him in the Situation Room with his Vice President, J.D. Vance, as the strikes were happening. That's a new image there. Jackie Robson in Tel Aviv, Israel, I do want to go to you, but first we have the video statement from the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's have a listen to that.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel, and may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Well, let's bring in Jackie Robson, who's in Tel Aviv, Israel. A very strong, even jubilant statement there from Benjamin Netanyahu. As we've seen in your reporting over recent days, a heightened state of alert in Israel. I'd imagine that is going to get even worse now.
Well, Michael, Israelis will be waking up to this news. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here, so they'll be learning of this major and significant development. And since those attacks took place, the Homefront Command that issues alerts for its citizens has stepped up those restrictions. That means that no one is going to school, no one is going to work, and no one is gathering in large groups. They were wound back slightly over the past few days. Schools remained closed, but people were able to return to the workplace if there was a bunker, and there was also a relaxation of the ability to gather in groups. But of course, that heightening of those restrictions now means that Israel is bracing for retaliation, and it's almost inevitable that that is going to happen.
Thank you, A. I appreciate you as always. I'll probably stay on for like another half an hour before I call it a wrap.
We know how the Supreme Leader talks about the attacks on Israel. We know that the Iranian state TV has reportedly been broadcasting threats such as every American citizen and military personnel in the region is now a target. Whether or not those attacks happen here in Israel or on US defence personnel scattered throughout the Middle East, we'll have to wait and see. It also begs the question, what happens to the Australians who have been trapped in this area? We know that the number of Australians who have registered for help with the Australian Foreign Affairs Department has been increasing over coming days. 3,800 Australians have been registering for help to try and get out of this conflict zone. We know that they had been moving the C-17 Globemasters around the Middle East, one based in Dubai at least, to try and get into Israel with the hope that the airspace would open in coming days. It's unclear if that will still happen, whether or not this has seen the threat subside or whether it has heightened it, and therefore not having that airspace open. We'll have to wait and see. There was a bus due to repatriate a number of Australians out of Tel Aviv into Jordan early today around 9 o'clock. That's cast doubt. We don't know if that will happen. You'd have to assume that it's unlikely given the heightened threat of retaliation. While we've been here in Israel earlier on in the conflict, there was quite a barrage of missiles being fired from Iran, but that has subsided over recent days. Yesterday, we didn't even receive an air raid siren, whereas earlier on they would be coming through quite regularly, at least for a day. We know that Israel has taken out much of the military top brass of Iran, so whether or not their stocks are depleted, we know they're weakened. We now have to wait and see if the retaliation comes through today, and we'll be here with all the updates. Michael?
All right, Jackie, thank you. Retaliation.
How y'all think their retaliation gonna be? Do you think they're gonna retaliate, or you think they're gonna talk peace? I personally think they're gonna retaliate, and then they're gonna fuck around and find out. What do y'all think? I think they're gonna try to at least put on the front, and then they're gonna fuck around and find out.
It might be difficult. I mean, Israel is certainly saying that it has complete air domination over Iran, which is something else. Tim Lester's our security editor in Canberra. I'm going to go to you now. Tim, good afternoon to you now. It is now good afternoon. A spectacular military success is what Donald Trump is calling this. Quite an awesome strike by the American military.
Yes, he is.
And joining me now is NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel in Tel Aviv. It's still in the early hours of the morning there. Obviously, the big question today on everyone's mind, the president's calling it a spectacular success. The immediate question on everyone's mind is, A, how severe is the damage? Will it set Iran's nuclear program definitively back? And B, where does Iran go from here? If you can shed light on what Israel is bracing itself for today.
So the Israelis, on a very short-term basis, are concerned about a reprisal. The Home Front Command, which issues guidance and doesn't change its guidance that often, it has been giving a guidance here to remain vigilant up until now, has upped its level of alert, telling people that they should not attend any public gatherings, no sporting events, no school, no work gatherings, only essential work. So they are on a heightened state of alert, a semi-lockdown, if you will. They had already been, under attack with Iranian ballistic missiles coming down at Israel every single day for the last week or so. So this country was already on high alert. They're bracing for some sort of response. But the Israeli reaction, official reaction, has been absolutely to welcome this. You have Prime Minister Netanyahu echoing President Trump's statements. They are clearly working hand in glove. This is something that Israel has long wanted. On the street, right now the streets are quite quiet, but on the street when we talk to people, they are generally supportive of this military operation. It was seen as a better now than later philosophy that they were going to engage with Iran at some stage, that it was better to do it now before having a nuclear weapon. That's the view as it was seen from here. But there are countries in the region who might not be vocally expressing their concerns, who I'm hearing from privately, who are very worried that Israel and the United States now seem to have a feeling of unchecked power and that they don't know where this is going, that this was Prime Minister Netanyahu's goal, that he found President Trump relatively easily.
They saying America is the big bad bullies, man. Yeah, that. I also feel like we've been playing the cat and mouse with Iran for so long, them other countries. I get what he's saying, because they feel like if we finally got the heart up to attack them, we had probably attacked anybody. That we feel like we the back, which before, I mean, remember they were just talking shit like maybe like a year or two ago that America wasn't even a superpower no more. So I guess sometimes what they said, the king of the jungle, the lion got to get up and tear some shit up sometime just to show he's still the king. So that's probably more of that. You know, we got to show a show of force.
Manipulated, and that he was going to do this, and finally got the United States on board.
And of course, the window now opens itself to a possible Iranian retaliation. If you hear what the president said today, or see what he said today in the social media post, he suggested that any Iranian retaliation would be met with a greater force. Some see this right now as an opening, that if Iran does retaliate against America, certainly in the region, it would open the door for even more American involvement, potentially leading ultimately to regime change, something that the Israeli prime minister has agitated for, has certainly called for in the past. One senior official I've spoken to from the region said this could be the beginning of the end for the Islamic regime in Iran, depending on what they do next. Where do you see this going from a kind of big picture approach, not just in the short term? I mean, Iran is now cornered. If they do retaliate, they run the risk of going into a direct war with the United States, which wouldn't be very long for them. They wouldn't last very long. Or if they do nothing, they appear very weakened in the eyes of their.
See what he said? He spit the truth. It won't last long. He seen Iraq, Afghanistan, all these countries. We pretty much took over them motherfuckers in a matter of weeks, bro. And not even like weeks, like a month or two, like 2 weeks, bro. A pay period. Within a pay period, we already controlled everything. And if they think fucking Israel gave them a problem, man, it's a wrap if they think we ain't ready for that, bro. It's a motherfucking wrap, man. So just tuck your tail and get ready to just speak peace, bro. Speak peace, take our terms, and that's that. Before you become East America.
Their own people, and ultimately susceptible to collapse.
No doubt, Iran has been put into a corner. They were engaged in negotiations. President Trump is framing this as we're using force in order to convince the Iranians to come back to the negotiating table, to think again. They thought they could keep their nuclear enrichment program. Well, now they don't have a nuclear enrichment program, so they better come back to the table now. But the Iranians believe that the negotiating table was all a trick, that they were lured into this process under false pretenses, that Netanyahu and Trump were always going to do this, that President Trump just recently said that they have 2 more weeks to negotiate, and barely a day went by before the bombs started dropping on those nuclear sites today. So Iran, there's no trust. There never had been trust, but Iran feels, and I was just in Iran, and officials there have been saying this publicly, that they believe that this process was only designed to get them to put their guard down and allow them to be attacked. Now, can they go back to negotiations? The ones they believe are fictitious and set up to make them fail? What choice do they have? Because if they engage directly with the U.S. military, even more so, then they could face a total annihilation of their military capacity, including their capacity to maintain control over law and order at home.
They're going to get obliterated. Ain't annihilation, obliterated without us even stepping foot on their land. We can literally see, you see right around there on a little, I mean, y'all can't, I don't think y'all can see my cursor, but you see all those waterways? It's too many openings. Like, we don't even got to come near them. We could be from the Med, we could be from the Black Sea. Like, it's too many right here in the Gulf. Like, it's too many ways to hit them. Boom, bam, run for your lives. It's too many ways to hit them all at once. Just boom. And then next thing you know, it's going to be the fucking Infinity Stone. Boom. And it ain't no Iran. That should be fucking something else. So, I'm pretty sure they're on their top. Come on, they done hit all your top military leaders in the last week.
There have been some attacks on Iranian police stations. The internet is out in Iran right now because the government is so afraid of infiltration, that there are Israeli spies, so they're trying to limit communications. The Iranian government is at a very fragile state right now, and when you have cornered a state, and Iran is cornered, that is, President Trump is hoping that is what makes them more malleable, but it also could make them much more dangerous.
You know, I know that you had spoken to Ali Shamkhani, the top Iranian negotiator, a couple of weeks ago, certainly before the Israeli war began on Iran. He was rumored to have been dead. He certainly turned out to be alive, according to Iranian state media. But since you are one of the last Western journalists to have spoken to him, do you get a sense now that, you know, with Iran cornered, it may have to negotiate if it wants to keep the regime in place, if it wants the regime to survive? That's what they're going to be negotiating about, while you have Israel perhaps wanting to continue this operation to decapitate the regime once and for all?
Well, I think that's exactly what what's on the table here. Before they were negotiating about their nuclear program, they were negotiating whether they would continue to have the right to enrich uranium at some capacity. And I did speak with Ali Shamkhani, who is one of the top advisors, military, nuclear, and political advisor to the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei of Iran, one of the key people in the country who is authorized to speak definitively about what Iran would and would not accept in negotiations. And he laid out what Iran's expectations are. He said they wanted to keep enriching uranium to a low level, that they would be willing to get rid of their more highly enriched uranium, those sites that were attacked today. Iran said they were going to get rid of it anyway in an agreement, that they were willing to do that. Russia had proposed to potentially be a mediator in that process. They wanted a lifting of sanctions, and they also promised to allow in inspectors to oversee the entire process. And President Trump responded to that comment from Shamkhani and said, looks like we're close to a deal. So for a while, it looked like the two sides were very close to a deal, but then suddenly the goalposts got further. And suddenly Iran was not cooperating. And suddenly it was close to a nuclear weapon. And suddenly it was very close. And suddenly the U.S. intelligence assessment under Tulsi Gabbard changed. And the Iranians believe that they were duped into all of this. So now they're not negotiating. If they do go back to negotiations, I think they have no choice. They're not negotiating about their nuclear program. They're now negotiating about the regime's survival.
All right. With me now, Richard Engel. Thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciated.
6 minutes in me before I'm out.
A closer look at the 3 Iranian nuclear sites that have been attacked by the U.S. The Fordo enrichment plant is estimated to be 80 meters underground. That's well out of reach of Israeli missiles and requires more advanced U.S. weaponry. Natanz is Iran's biggest nuclear site and can enrich uranium to 60%. It's also heavily fortified with underground infrastructure. Isfahan is another critical nuclear site, which is a uranium conversion plant. Let's go live now to our correspondent in the Iranian capital, Tauhid Asadi. Tauhid, good morning to you. Can you tell us about the initial reaction in Iran to the U.S. strikes and what the damage assessment is at this hour?
Well, actually, when it comes to the early reactions, we've got this statement from the Atomic Energy Organization of the country, and also another statement just came out a few minutes ago about this about actually the signs of contamination. They said that there is no sign of nuclear contamination as of date, according to their data. It's a statement that we heard from the Center for Nuclear Safety. Also, they said that there is no danger for people living in the nearby area. But speaking of a previous statement that we got from the Nuclear Energy or Atomic Energy Organization of the country, they confirmed that 3 nuclear sites, Natanz, Fordo, and Isfahan, were targeted by the airstrikes of quote-unquote enemy. And also they said that that's a quite clear contradiction of international law, in particular NPT. Iran is a signatory of which, and also they said that IAEA, the UN nuclear watchdog, should be criticized for its indifference and quote-unquote even support as a result of which this recent strikes are taking place. And also they said that these sites, these places targeted, were under full inspection of IAEA, and that the national industry related to nuclear program of the country is not going to be stopped there. This is the very latest statement that we have from the Iranian side. We are still waiting. I am sure that it doesn't answer the very fundamental question that is out there, which is how Iran is going to react right now.
Indeed.
For that, we are waiting for further military and political statements coming out, as this recent statement looks to be more technical, but we can
Let me ask you
consider
about
this bigger context in which Iran is saying,
and you are right to say that
United States decides to.
You are right to say that it's too early now for the political reactions, because it's very early in the morning in Tehran. But just to recap what you were telling us, what we heard from the Iranian Atomic Agency is that no sign of contamination right now as a result of these 3 U.S. strikes on these 3 sites, and no danger for the people living around these sites. Which brings me to the question of whether there was any sort of preparations made by the Iranian authorities in anticipation of a potential U.S. strike on these sites. We have been talking for a number of days now about the Fordo plant. Were there preparations made to clear these sites, perhaps, in advance?
Yes, I can cite the same statement that came from the Center for Nuclear Safety of the country. They said that there was some preparation, and also initially we've got this report from IRIB, the state TV, claiming that no nuclear material, no dangerous material were there under when these strikes took place. I'm sure that we have to keep waiting for further details, as still we don't have anything about damage assessment coming from the Iranian side. For that, we should keep waiting. But what we know is that based on what they have put out as a sort of a statement, we can rest assured that Iranians were sort of prepared for this, specifically after Donald Trump, the U.S. president, came out to say that there is a possibility for such a strike. And now, as I told you earlier, and as you mentioned, they're saying that for the people living nearby, there is no danger, according to the latest
data, but still we have to keep in mind that this is not the first time that Iran's nuclear facilities are being targeted. Previously, from day one of the Israeli strikes, Natanz was targeted for several times alongside with other nuclear facilities of the country. And from the Iranian side, what we are having at these over the past few days is that these centers were under full inspection of IAEA, and that's quite contradictory to the international law, as the statement coming from the Atomic Energy Organization of the country says. But speaking again of a broader context, we have to keep in mind that Iranians previously were saying that the United States is there to be blamed because it gave a sort of green light for the initiation of the Israeli strikes. And of course, they had a role there when it comes to the resolution that was adopted by the Board of Governors of IAEA. They're saying that this resolution was drafted and then supported by the United States and other three European countries. Also, we had this earlier warning, speaking of the response, something that is critically important at the time being.
Right. Tawhid, let me just ask you, let me jump in there and ask you about the options on the table now for Iran. Prior to the U.S. Attacking these three sites, the Iranian had warned against any U.S. intervention in the conflict between Iran and
Now we called they bluff. Now they got to see if they're going to live up to the hype that they was talking. The ball's in their court, but I think they got to have a backup plan. This was just step one. I feel like this was testing the waters, the U.S. dipped their foot in the pool to check the water, check the temperature of the water. Now we gonna see what's their response, and I don't think Iran gonna want that smoke.
Israel. We are, of course, as you said, waiting for political reaction. But what might Iran do next? How will they respond to the U.S. entering the conflict?
Well, speaking of the details, so far Iranians have decided not to spill the beans about their plans, but the very gist of the matter was something that we heard from the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei when it comes to his very latest video statement that came out a couple of days ago. He said that the possibility of U.S. intervention runs the risk of quote-unquote irreversible damage, and he said that previously that is going to lead into escalation. And it was also Iranian president, Iranian foreign minister, they're all saying that this possibility, which is now getting translated into reality, runs the risk of dragging the entire escalation, which is already in an unprecedented level, to a next level, in which there is a possibility for a regional all-out war scenario that is a very dangerous scenario, according to Iranian officials. And Iranians are saying that we haven't prepared for this. We talked to one of military officials, security officials. He said that we haven't prepared for it in the last 10 years, and we are going to have no problem with prolonged war, according to this military official who told us about that possibility. The thing is that Iranians are prepared for that, but speaking of the reaction, they're saying that any American asset in the region is going to be a potential retaliatory target when it comes to Iranian response. But now that red line is crossed. American intervention, something Iranians were warning about, is there as a part of reality on the ground. But still, we have to keep waiting to see how Iran is going to formulate its response.
Okay, Tawhid, we will, of course, be checking in with you throughout the morning here when we get more reaction from Iran. Tawhid Asadi in Tehran.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.
Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing our breaking news coverage. President Trump announcing tonight that Iran's key nuclear facilities were, quote, totally obliterated by the U.S. Air Force. A Saudi nuclear regulator says no radioactive traces have been detected in the kingdom or Arab Gulf states as a result of U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer just sent out this statement saying, quote, President Trump must provide the American people and Congress clear answers on the actions taken tonight and their implications for the safety of Americans. No president should be allowed to unilaterally march this nation into something as consequential as war with erratic threats and no strategy. We must enforce the War Powers Act, and I'm urging Leader Thune to put it on the Senate floor immediately. I'm voting for it and implore all senators on both sides of the aisle to vote for it. With me now is Congressman Adam Smith, a Democrat from Washington and the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. Congressman, it's great to see you again. Let me just ask you, did you have any indication, any insight as to whether or not this was happening tonight when the president was returning to the White House for this national security meeting?
Not directly. They didn't say that. But certainly from what President Trump has said, the repositioning of the B-2 bombers and other forces, and just his general vibe the last several days, it was not surprising. But no, there was no heads up that I'm aware of given to any congressional leaders.
I read your statement that you posted, which I think there are a lot of very important parts to it. And I wanted to kind of just go, through it with you a little bit. One of the points that you made, which I have not yet heard this evening from any American officials, and certainly as I read some statements from American officials, members of Congress questioning the legality of this strike. You went a step further. You said the president failed to provide clear objectives for these actions, and there are no guarantees that it will eliminate the possibility of Iran developing a nuclear weapon or how long it might set their program back. Elaborate on that and why you thought that was important to include tonight.
Sure. Several pieces to this. I mean, first of all, obviously, there are other issues with Iran than just their nuclear program. They are sponsoring a variety of different terrorist groups throughout the region, destabilizing governments. They have a ballistic missile program that is a threat. But on the nuclear program, the only thing that stopped the Iranian nuclear program was the JCPOA that President Obama negotiated. Everyone agrees that Iran was abiding by that, and they had stopped enriching uranium, and they had stopped moving towards developing a bomb. And then, of course, President Trump tore up the agreement, and Iran went back to enriching uranium and moving towards the bomb. Now, the military estimations, can you stop this? Can you drop a bunch of bombs and blow up all the centrifuges that we know about? We don't know that. Now, President Trump, in his typical fashion, claims facts not in evidence, saying we totally obliterated their whole program. Nobody knows that, right?
Shout out, shout out. I see you in the building. It said it's all about life. Shout out to Chris Summers. Shout out to It's All About Life. Hit that like button while you in there. Appreciate you stopping by. 21 people right now still kicking it live. And we almost 3 hours in. You can hit that like button. You're welcome, man. It's kind of near and dear to me, man. So I'm watching it close, seeing what's going on. So I'm trying to check it from all point of views. I wish, but they said they cut the internet off over there. But I wish I could see what their news is reporting on over there.
Now, maybe, maybe not. We do not know how many of these centrifuges were destroyed. So that's number one. Number two, we can't be 100% sure that we knew about all of Iran's centrifuges. We didn't know about Fordo for about a decade before we discovered it. And number three, no one has talked about, well, how quickly could Iran reconstitute all of this? It sadly does not take that long to build centrifuges once you know how. So it's not necessarily the death blow to Iran's nuclear program. We're still going to have to negotiate with them at some point. So, this assumption that their nuclear program is gone and they'll never be able to build it is simply wrong at this point.
You used the word condemn in the strongest terms the president's decision. Again, I think very powerful words tonight. And you also said that the path the president has chosen risks unleashing a wider war in the region that is both incredibly unpredictable and treacherous, and that threatens the safety and the security of the United States, Israel, and ultimately the world. I get a sense sir, and please correct me if I'm wrong, based on that language, you're extremely disappointed with what the president has done tonight.
Well, disappointed would be the wrong word because disappointed implies expectations. But I think it was wrong. I think it was a mistake. And the point is, we have forces throughout the region, in Qatar, in Bahrain, in Iraq, in the UAE. I was just there, as it happens, 2 months ago, in all of those countries and visited our forces. And they are all very vulnerable to Iranian attack. Now, we'll see. I mean, the future is notoriously hard to predict. Who knows for sure what Iran is going to do? But I'd sure be surprised if Iran simply capitulated at this point. And if they attack, all of those forces are at jeopardy. Now, we have force protection methods in place. They're not perfect. They're not necessarily going to protect all of our forces. And if Iran does that, then what does the president do in response? Does he just let that go? That seems unlikely. Look, this is the same thing back in Iraq. Saddam Hussein was a terrible guy. We didn't know whether or not Saddam Hussein was working towards a nuclear weapon back then because he wasn't being transparent about it. And you can imagine a world, well, gosh, if we just remove this guy, how much better would things be? Sure, but you don't know what comes next. And that's the lesson we learned. President Trump has not said anything yet about whether or not regime change is part of his objective. If it is, that's incredibly problematic. If it isn't, he should state clearly that it isn't. The best we can hope for now is that Iran does feel, backed into a corner is the wrong word. Iran decides to capitulate. And they come out and they negotiate in good faith, and we get to a peaceful resolution. But that is a huge roll of the dice. And then, of course, there is the constitutional issue that the president had no authority to start a war with Iran, which, make no mistake about it, that's what he did. Where that war goes, hard to say, but he started a war with Iran tonight.
And what do you think is Israel's responsibility in getting the U.S. into this moment? I mean, the president is certainly, by some assessment, and again, you used very strong language against the president of the United States. What responsibility does Israel have for starting this war 9 days ago, knowing ultimately that America was always going to come to Israel's defense at some point and perhaps even get involved in this war on behalf of Israel? I mean, it's safe to say the United States would not have been doing this tonight if Israel had not started this unprovoked war 9 days ago.
Yeah, sorry, that last sentence I got to get back to in just a second. But I'm a big personal responsibility person. This isn't Israel's fault. It's not Israel's fault that the Donald Trump decided to bomb. Yeah, they wanted him to, but he's the president of the United States. He doesn't have to do what Israel tells him to do. So let's.
Full of shit, man. We was supporting Israel with they fucking issues with Gaza, and Trump wasn't even the president yet. So don't act like we don't back Israel up with all that shit. Cut it out, man. He full of shit. You just mad that he's you a Democrat and he a Republican. So now you just talking out your ass right now.
Let's not make any mistake about that. Second, Iran has definitely been provoking Israel. Iran, from its founding, has had it as one of its central tenets that Israel doesn't have a right to exist, which is, pretty much an unprecedented foreign policy, except for Russia now in Ukraine. Iran has supported Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and various other groups that have directly attacked Israel. So that Israel had a reason to attack Iran, I will not question.
And attack
the U.S.
America.
Doesn't. And the U.S., as I mentioned, has forces in the region and they're at risk. There is no question that Prime Minister Netanyahu in Israel put a ton of pressure on Donald Trump to do this. He didn't have to. He could have put our interests. Sorry, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He could have put America first, but it doesn't seem like that's the decision that he made. And the consequence.
Who the fuck did he put? Who did he put ahead of America? You just talking out your ass because God gave you a fucking mouth, man. They be having Trump delusion.
Consequences of it going forward are, as I have said, very unpredictable and certainly dangerous for U.S. interests.
I'm sure you've seen, certainly within the MAGA world and within the Republican Party, some who agree with you that this is not a war that America should have gotten into. It is not an America First policy. Tom Massey called the strikes tonight unconstitutional. What should the Democrats be doing right now? I mean, the fact that these questions, this criticism was coming out from the Tucker Carlsons of the world and the Steve Bannons of the world, and not from some of the senior leaders of the Democratic Party before tonight. We're seeing it a little bit tonight, but not before tonight. Where does it go from here?
Sorry, I've been saying don't do this, don't do this, don't do this for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know what other leaders have been saying that, but the statement I put out tonight is perfectly consistent with everything I've been saying since this started.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the really important point here is, where does U.S. national security and foreign policy go? And the thing that I kind of agree with is that we need to get off of this sort of end of the Cold War thinking that we can just move the pieces of the world around like they're our chessboard, that we're the world's sole remaining superpower, right? So whatever we want to do, we can fix and move and do. We became too overly ambitious in our ability to do that after the first Gulf War, with disastrous consequences in Iraq and in Afghanistan. We need to rethink the world and look at it as a multipolar world, not a world that we are in a position to dominate and reshape to our desire. That belief.
Why not? Why not be in control? Why not be the winners? Like, what should we do? Our enemies don't want to do that. Our enemies don't want to sit there and just hand, you know what I'm saying, kumbaya with us.
System got us into a ton of trouble. All right. And I personally,
I can't take this motherfucker no more because he's full of shit. Sitting in his nice ass home while fucking real Americans is out there fighting, man. I'm sick of his shit. We ain't at war yet. They didn't declare war. They gotta declare war. They just be talking. He should get impeached. If Obama did this, if Biden did it, if anybody did it, y'all wouldn't care. And he cannot act fucking alone. He did not fly the plane over there himself and bomb them, bro. It don't work like that. Yeah, y'all let them think that he just sat there and fucking on his own said, got on the phone with, hey, this the president, go bomb it. It don't fucking work like that. It just don't, bro. He cannot just act on his own. He cannot just go and just send troops wherever he went. You know what I mean? It don't work like that. It's crazy how people grew up in America and don't know how civics and government work. Don't even really know what the president do. You think his ass just woke up and was like, you know what? I'm gonna send these cats over here to do this, that, and the third. No, it don't work like that, bro. He literally had to have permission for somebody that had to contact. That shit it ain't even that fast. This shit had to be days in the work, bro. This had to be a plan. All he did was execute it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It was a plan. They put that bitch into execution. And that's that. That's that. Like, for all these cats, that it's crazy that we live in America, but everybody wants to pray for our downfall just because y'all want to see him fail. Forget who the fuck the president is, man. We still gotta live here. This is our home. So the want him to go down so bad that you want to see the rest of us fail is ridiculous. We don't know what the hell. They might say fuck it and don't want no problems whatsoever with us. And that's the best case scenario. But I done been on here for 3 hours and 5 minutes. We about to call this a wrap. I'm about to eat something, relax, and see what what's the outcome in the morning, what's the next step. For all of y'all that tuned in, I appreciate it. Until next time, till mañana, because I'll be back on here tomorrow. Till mañana. Peace.